Vous êtes où?
Babbel's bite-sized lessons make it easy to learn words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks,
How's your French going?
you can say,
Babbel est amusant et facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue. Et cela ne prend que 15 minutes par jour.
when you want to really learn another language, it starts with Babbel. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at babbel.com. Just go to babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
Hi, this is Scott Hayes.
And this is Jill Hayes from New York Sash.
Right now, when you buy 2 windows, you get 1 free.
Wait, Scott, what did you say?
Jill, it's the buy 2, get 1 free sale, our best sale of the year.
But Scott, it's summer. That's the offer we make in the winter.
Right. Well, I guess that one's on me because I just told the team that this year's independent sale is buy 2 windows, get 1 free.
So that means customers can buy 4 windows and get 2 free, or 6 windows and get 3 free?
Exactly. There's no end to the savings, and it's easy to take advantage of this offer. Just stop by the New York Sash Idea and Design Center this week. Browse our selection and save.
But it's for a limited time, right, Scott?
That's right. Stop in or call this week, and you'll lock in our most popular offer of the year. Buy 2 windows, get 1 free during the independent sale at New York Sash.
We're open Monday through Saturday on Oriskany Boulevard in Whitesboro. And as always, let our family take care of your family.
Only we have the Mattress Express brand name low price guarantee. If you purchase a mattress from us and see it advertised cheaper locally in the next 30 days, we simply refund the difference. Don't overpay for your next mattress. Come to Mattress Express.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/radio and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. hims.com/radio.
There's an issue cutting through the bipartisan bickering in Congress. It's AM radio. The overwhelming majority of legislators, Democrats and Republicans, support a bill to keep AM radio in cars. But time is running out. Text AM to 52886 and ask Congress to bring this bill to the floor for a vote now. AM radio is too important to let this moment pass us by.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
The Potting Shed Antiques in Whitesboro is buying silver, gold, gold-filled, vintage costume, estate jewelry, and U.S. and Canadian coins. They've been your hometown buyer for the past 52 years. While other gold and silver buyers claim to offer the highest prices, the Potting Shed Antiques actually delivers. Let Don Hartman take a look at your individual pieces or your entire collection. The Potting Shed Antiques, open Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Please call ahead for an appointment. Visit thepottingshedantique.com.
There's no glory in getting beat up on the job. Aches and pains aren't trophies. They're just barriers keeping pros like you from getting work done. But Ferris commercial mowers at Clinton Tractor help you finish strong and feel good doing it with patented suspension technology. Visit Clinton Tractor today for a test drive and feel the Ferris difference. Or go to clintontractor.net. Ferris, work hard, feel good.
We are the leader in service, Clinton Tractor.
Hey guys, do you want male performance in the bedroom and do you want it now? Get it in 47 seconds or less. For the first time, you can have instant male enhancement. Introducing Knox 47, the topical male enhancement that works in 47 seconds or less. Satisfaction guaranteed. Finally, after years of scientific research, our proprietary formula will allow you to perform in the bedroom like never before. Just imagine that little blue pill on steroids. No reason to settle and wait when you can get instant performance now. Forget about pills and potions that make you wait hours or up to 30 days to work. That's yesterday's news. Knox 47 is brand new. the hottest thing for men. And you don't need a prescription. Call now and get your free supply for a limited time.
Find out how to get Knox 47 for free. Call now, 800-481-9983. That's 800-481-9983. Free bottles for limited time. Call 800-481-9983. That's 800-481-9983.
The opinions, viewpoints, and promises made during the following program are not those of WIBX, its staff, management, or parent company, Town Square Media.
If we take the jail first, we'll have a place to lock up all the others. Then there's Keeler. He took over the bank as soon as the judge was murdered.
But I think that's because when you make tough decisions, you're left to deal with the repercussions.
But seriously, dear, I've done so many of these shows across the nation, helped so many people, and guided them to my website. And
look at this.
What is this, a joke program? I mean, what type of a program are you running here?
Here comes a ball.
Go, go, go.
Did you hear that hair?
Radio personality Bill Keeler is no longer on the air. He was fired yesterday over a contract.
Mother O'Shaughnessy?
Yes.
Great Falwell in Lynchburg, Virginia. How are you?
Good morning. Go to hell! Free your mind!
Good morning, WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM News Time, 6:22. First news with Keeler in the morning. I am Andrew Dominio in for Bill, who is getting himself taken care of. And we wish him the best these next couple days as he'll be in the city of Buffalo, getting himself taken care of with his unfortunate diagnosis of leukemia, and we are with him this morning. Also with me is Senator Joe Griffo. Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. You look pretty tall from where I'm sitting right now.
It is the
just done intentionally, so the guests are.
It's this wonderful lower. Chair. It's this wonderful chair. I'm looking down at you. I'm looking down at you.
I look up at you. So
well, I appreciate that.
At and to you.
Well, I've always looked up to you. So there we go.
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting setup. I mean, I've been in a studio, but I might have to raise the chair or something. But,
well, there's nice pneumatics or whatever hydraulics, I should say, in the chair, so you can take advantage of that if you'd like.
So our thoughts and prayers are with Bill today, and I know Allie's with him, and he'll be in good hands. They do good work out there at Roswell, and he, I know, is feeling pretty confident, and rightly so. So good care, good support. He'll do fine.
And, you know, we do appreciate him sharing his story because as him and Tim Reed have done over the years several times, and bringing awareness to the need for men to get tested. Their Real Men Get Tested campaign is alive and thriving, and is even more so very important in the wake of Bill's diagnosis. So we are definitely thinking of him today, and we just wish him the best. And I know you, the listener, agrees.
Absolutely.
So I also appreciate you being here. It was a very difficult weekend for the city of Utica. I won't ask you to weigh in on it too much because it is very, and this is really the stance I personally am going to take here this morning. We do have a number of people coming in studio. We've got Lieutenant Steve Houck, retired Lieutenant Steve Houck, who is the former public information officer for Utica Police Department. He'll kind of break down what he saw, not only in that video that was released across social media on TMZ of the pedestrian who filmed this event, this tragic event, but also breaking down the body cam footage. Will have his expertise. He trains police departments across the country, specifically on how to handle situations like this. I will say that Saturday morning I was not able to attend the press conference because I got the notice of it late, but I did review video of it, the live stream by Antoine Spratt, who is a local independent journalist. He has he does a lot of work with being on the street and taking his camera with him. He does a very good job. He was there, and I was able to watch the press conference, and what a disaster. I mean, as far as press conferences go, they're designed to get information out, usually just for the press. And again, I don't want to Monday morning quarterback Mayor Galimi, but I've been, quite happy with a lot of the decisions he's made, but I thought that could have been handled a little differently.
Well, this is a very tragic, difficult, and challenging time for the community in many different ways. I was away yesterday. I was downstate. I was here Saturday, so I've been kind of not being able to see a lot of the footage, and I have had some conversations with some of the local officials. But it's tough when you look at this, as you indicated earlier, to kind of second guess, though, to Monday morning quarterback this, because I think when you go through an experience like this, and this is so difficult, and you see this happen in many different ways across our country, whatever the issue may be when you have this type of tragedy, and it happens in different aspects, not only with law enforcement, but it could be with natural disasters, with other mass shootings. So how you handle that from a disbursement of information, I think, is the important thing, right? So I'm not sure what the thinking may have been, but I think it was trying to get information out to the community, to let the community know that the city administration wanted to hear from the community and have them understand what was taking place, to be very transparent, very candid, to provide the most accurate and complete information that they had, and to be sensitive in doing something like that because of the circumstances and situation. But
yeah, I think I'm more talking about, and I get that, I get that 100%, because I do know that the mayor has met with the Karen community and has spoken to them. And it's very important to do, because we're a city that welcomes refugees with open arms. And I know one of the comments or concerns I heard over the weekend was, and again, I'm not going to weigh in on my take on it, but again, this is the stance of some of the people who were at the press conference, or some of the people that were very understandably upset over this incident, that a lot of people in that community that they escaped from and came to Utica from was a police state where there was brutality going on. So, it's important for the mayor to bridge that gap. I'm more talking about the fact that some of the things I was critical with, Mayor Palmieri was criticized for a long time. I want to ask you to get into this. This is just my thought on it. Several people were critical of Mayor Palmieri, including, I believe, Mayor Galimi, with his almost wanting to play cop and being the public information, or being the public safety commissioner, having that role, and sometimes getting involved, too far involved into police issues. And the fact that, Galimi was, in a way, cutting off Lieutenant Curley or Chief Williams in the press conference answering questions I felt should have been left to the police department was really my only criticism there. And I just think that, it was a very heightened emotion time for basically opening the city hall doors and letting everybody come in there.
It's absolutely very emotional, could be potentially very explosive. You've seen this in some of the things that have happened when you have situations like this in various communities, and in a number of different ways. But I think relative to the office and holding the office of Public Safety Commissioner, that is under the second-class cities law. That position exists, and it really gives an opportunity because in these type cities, like say Rome and Utica, and they're smaller cities, and that's why they operate under a different section of law than say the Big Five. So, for instance, in Syracuse, the chief serves at the pleasure of the mayor, but here in Utica, the chiefs are career appointments. So this position was developed many years ago, the Public Safety Commissioner position, to have that basically because of the aspect of being the structure of a paramilitary organization, to have civilian control, similar to what you see nationally with the commander-in-chief. So the chief elected official of the community, in this case the mayor, would have that kind of control. what you've seen happen, and I had to do this in Rome actually initially, is when you look at fiscal crisis challenges, and sometimes people face fiscal crises, you want to see what you can do to absorb those positions. And I think that's what's happened in a lot of times where the mayors assume the position
that was Palmieri's
in order to
biggest
save
argument.
the money. But it's tough to do because I did that for a few months and recognized that I needed somebody there that could be the arbiter, that could work with the career chiefs, follow their lead, their input, but also in the end they would have the ability to make the determinations on policy, particularly promotions, new hires, things of that nature. So I think in that case, when you hold that role, I didn't see the press conference, but you got the mayor in a unique role, right? Speaking as the chief elected official of the community, in this case, a chief consoler, as well as someone who is trying to get to the facts. I mean, this is difficult for everybody involved. I mean, right, it's for the community. Obviously, your heart breaks for the family, and but then also, the individuals in law enforcement who do their job and are in very difficult situations and have to make those split second decisions, where their lives could be on the line too. So this is not it's emotionally charged and
100%.
I think very, very challenging. So that's why it's very important, in my opinion, that you are transparent, that you are candid, that you are providing the most accurate and complete data that you can, whether it's footage or testimony or eyewitness accounts, things of that nature.
Well, to the credit of the Utica Police Department, to Lieutenant Mike Curley, who has a very difficult job because a lot of people don't understand this. Lieutenant Curley's job at Utica Police Department is not just to be the public information officer. He is an active lieutenant who is in charge of investigations and dealing with day-to-day operations in the department. So for him to be doing two roles, we commend him for that because it is a difficult job, as we will learn from Steve Houck when he comes in and speaks to us.
And you've been fortunate in Utica. Steve Houck did an extraordinary job. So
Yeah.
did Brian Coramato.
Oh, yeah. How could I forget Brian in the interim?
Curley, right.
But what we do, and you're speaking of transparency, and just getting back to the public safety commissioner position, I know that Mayor Galimi has made efforts and has made it known that he does intend to fill that position, public safety commissioner, with somebody that's not him. And we hope that happens sooner rather than later because of situations like this. It would have definitely helped, I think. And again, I'm usually, as Lance and Lee will tell you, I'm usually Mike's biggest supporter with a lot of the decisions that he's made. But on this one, it's very difficult, I think, and I've never been in that position as a mayor, but I just think that I've heard from a lot of people that it got out of hand and the press conference was, for lack of a better term, a debacle.
Well, it may have been the venue because of the nature of the venue and the approach that you wanted to take to make the community be engaged and involved and be present. So there are a lot of factors that may have been going into that decision-making as to where it took place, how it took place. I don't think and I understand that everybody's going to have an opinion, but I don't know that it serves any purpose right now to be critical. People learn lessons from what they undertake.
I pick up what you're putting down, Senator. So, I appreciate it. I just wanted to give my thoughts on there. And
well, as I indicated, Andrew, you're going to have a lot of people that have opinions and thoughts on this. But like we talked about, this is not going to be easy for the community, the family, for the police department, the elected officials. It's no one ever wants to see something like this happen.
So what we do know, if you're just catching up or you're just listening or you're just hearing about this for the first time, wondering, well, what are we talking about? You'll be hard-pressed to find anybody in the city or the surrounding area that did not know what occurred on Friday night. But just to recap, Utica Police have announced so far that on Friday night at around 10:18 p.m., members of the Crime Prevention Unit stopped two male juveniles as part of an investigation. In the course of stopping them, one of those individuals ran from police, and eventually police say, I will emphasize that, police say that 13-year-old, who's now been identified as 13-year-old Naim Way, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, apologize if I'm not, but 13-year-old Naim Way of Utica was shot and killed by 6-year veteran Utica police officer Patrick Husney. Also involved in the incident, Officer Andrew Citronetti, who was a 2.5-year veteran, and 4-year veteran Bryce Patterson were all members of that crime prevention unit that were there on the scene. As per every incident like this, they will be placed on and have been placed on paid administrative leave pending the investigation by the New York State Attorney General's office, as is done with every police-involved shooting. There will also be a investigation internally by the Professional Standards Committee. And what we do now at this time is transparency is key for the Utica Police Department. I think it was Saturday night, not more than 24 hours after this incident occurred, Utica Police have released full body cam footage from each of the officers in long and short form for the public to view. They have set up a YouTube channel, but you can see every single one of the body cam footages, every single one of those body cam videos, I should say, on our website, WIBX950.com. Definitely a tragic incident. There was a candlelight vigil held on Saturday evening with the Karen community and several members of the community. It was a great turnout, and at the end of the day, there's the tragedy of a 13-year-old child who was shot and killed. There is the issue of this replica Glock. That's another thing, Senator Griffo. Is that something that the state legislature takes up? Is it something that federally has to happen? More and more you speak to, and I've spoken to several pro-Second Amendment people over the weekend that say there has to be something has to be done about these replica handguns. I mean, if you look at that photo of the gun that the Utica police released, it looks very real. So you talk about those split-second decisions for police. Again, it's very unclear, all the details. We have to let the investigations play out. That is essential. It's not helpful for you, like you said, to be critical or to pass judgment before the investigations are conducted. But we have to wait and see what happens. But, I'd imagine that at night, in a split-second moment, in the heat of the moment, for an officer to see something like that, it's not out of the realm of possibility for that officer to have thought that was a real weapon.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're looking at very intense situations, as we talked about, split-second decisions, and there were a lot of things that went into that before that, and I think the police department has done an exceptional job in trying to explain and follow the protocol and procedures that have to be followed when something like this unfortunately happens. And yeah, these are opportunities at a state and federal level to look at, and listen to perspective and opinion from the stakeholders on the ground, from police departments and the community as a whole, to determine, what is being done, what is being sold, how is it being sold,
how does it look,
and why does it look that way?
The fact that they have, this had a magazine holder and a magazine itself, a clip. And
I've not seen photos of the.
You can see those photos as well. You can see a photo of the replica Glock pellet gun or BB gun on our website as well. But we will get more into this topic because we have several guests coming up. As I said, we have several guests this morning. Steve Hula will weigh in on the body cam footage analysis and his perspective as a former public information officer. We'll also speak with Antoine Spratt, who is an independent journalist who was covering the press conferences over the weekend. We'll also speak with Dan Snell, who is an expert on politics and leadership, getting with us a little bit of his take on the other debacle that happened on Thursday, and that was the presidential debate. We'll also have Chief Mark Williams and Lieutenant Mike Curley in a little bit later on this morning to give us an update on what we know so far with regard to this horrible, tragic incident. Right now, it's 6:39. Coming up, we'll speak with Ryan Schmelz. The Supreme Court of the United States has a few more big decisions to make. We'll talk with Ryan about what we can expect from those decisions, coming up on First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX.
Having chest pain is frightening. Believe me, I know. Am I having a heart attack? I'm short of breath. What's happening? This is Dr. Fred Tellerico. I'm a cardiologist, chief medical officer at the Wynn Hospital, and also a cardiac patient. And I can tell you firsthand that our dedicated staff, along with the physicians and mid-level providers of Central New York Cardiology, provide the quality care required in treating all aspects of heart disease. With our emergency department and EMS partners, we also offer the best treatment for acute cardiac emergencies, including angioplasty for those suffering from a heart attack, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the hospital being brand new, we are able to employ the most up-to-date expertise and technology. Our facility is only one of 2 hospitals statewide honored by the American College of Cardiology with the prestigious award of being a quality heart care center. Our patients at the Wynn can be assured that we want what is best for them. We are a small community, and you are our neighbors, our friends, and even family members. We take this personally and are dedicated to providing you with the quality care you need.
Hi, I'm Scott Hayes.
And I'm Jill Hayes. At New York Sash, we love Independence Day.
I couldn't agree more, honey. The parades, the fireworks, the backyard barbecues.
And the bathrooms.
Exactly, honey. Wait, the bathrooms?
You bet, Scott. There's nothing like getting that bathroom upgrade you've always wanted and getting 50% off the installation.
That's right. It's the Independence Sale at New York Sash. Time to free yourself from that tired old bathroom and get 50% off the installation.
Exactly, Scott. A deal everyone can celebrate.
And when we're done, your bathroom will look incredible, and our team can finish the upgrade in as little as 2 days.
Stop by the New York Sash Idea and Design Center on Oriskany Boulevard in Whitesboro and see all the options available. And if you have questions, we'll be happy to help.
So if you're ready for your dream bathroom, call us or stop by this week during the Independence Sale and get 50% off the installation of your new bathroom, only at New York Sash.
Keeler in the Morning invites you to connect with us through telephonic communication at 315-736-0186 or use the Call Us button on the WIBX 950 app. For additional contact methodologies, please refer to WIBX950.com.
This is Keeler in the Morning, WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Good morning. First News, Keeler in the Morning. It is 6:43, and we will, of course, discuss more of this situation. We already have comments. Big Honey and Heckla weighing in on something I want your take on.
Sure.
With regard to
having a little issue with the voice today. I'm
sound great.
Doing my RFK impression because you're talking about the debates.
Oh yeah. Well, you have you sound good. So
thank you. Thank you.
You almost got like a resonating deep voice. So we'll get to more of the topic at hand. Something that's very pressing with the city of Utica is, of course, the 13-year-old who was tragically killed by police over the weekend. We'll get into more of that in a second. But we do want to bring on Ryan Schmelz from Fox News Radio, who is a dang bloody Baltimore Orioles fan. We're neck and neck here, Ryan, in the division. So when your team loses, our team's winning, and sometimes they lose at the same time. But we won't waste too much time talking about that.
No, it's been fun. You know, the Red Sox aren't winning, so
we can both agree.
Win. Yeah,
we can both agree on that. Although,
it's always, and I feel like that's how the division always is. It's either the Yankees or the Red Sox are dominating, and they're one of the best teams in baseball, and then you've got one of the other underdog teams in the division that's like the number 2, or sometimes they're the number 1. It's always like that. It's never just the Yankees and the Red Sox neck and neck. It's always like Yankees or Red Sox, and then it's one of the other teams that's like the 2 top teams in the division.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I do fear with the inconsistent play of the Yankees lately, the fact that we do have to play. and forgive me, I always say my team's we, like I'm suiting up for them every day. But the Yankees will have to play the Red Sox at the end of the week. So, it remains to be seen. The Blue Jays, you get blown out only to blow out the other team and then get blown out again and blow out the other team. So, definitely an interesting season so far, but we have to move on to more important issues like the interesting season that is the term of the Supreme Court of the United States. It is the final day of the term. 4 big decisions left that have to be ruled on, including the elephant in the room, Trump's immunity case. What do we know, and what can we expect from today?
I think we are expecting the decision to finally happen today. What it's going to happen, I don't know. I think one thing I've kind of been getting from a lot of legal analysts about what to prepare for would be if the court rules in former President Trump's favor, to not just immediately write this off as a victory for him. Yeah. There's a lot of factors that we got to keep in mind, because the court could rule in his favor, but not exactly give him this major legal victory to the point where he's going to have so much legal ammunition that the charges are just going to be completely dropped against him, or that there's no chance that Jack Smith can continue this case moving forward. We'll just give Donald Trump a chance to utilize some type of presidential immunity, or the court will kind of enshrine some type of presidential immunity into legal law so that it's a little more clear whenever this gets invoked in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of saw that with the ruling about the January 6th charge of obstruction. That will not necessarily totally, give Trump that immunity with regard to that investigation or those defendants of January 6th, but that specific charge. So I imagine that's something similar.
I think that's what we need to be on the lookout for, is that this is not going to be, our cut and dry, okay, Trump wins, Jack Smith loses type of ruling. But, there could be a possibility that's what happens. But I wouldn't say that that's totally going to be, what we should be expecting is just a clear-cut decision. I think it's going to be a little bit more complicated than that.
So we do have a few other non-Trump-related decisions that still have to be ruled on, I believe. What are some of the other? What are the other 3 decisions that are yet to be made?
We do, yes. I've been mainly focused on this one and kind of the fallout from the previous cases because I still think we're trying to figure out what that's going to mean, for what it means for January 6th moving forward.
Yeah.
With the previous obstruction case, how the Chevron case is going to impact people and impact the economy moving forward. So I think we're still kind of trying to figure out what these other cases are going to mean for us and kind of what these other ones could do too.
Yeah, and in an age of political division, almost with regard to everything, there's going to be some very unhappy people. There's going to be some very happy people, and there are going to be people that saying they're the worst court in the nation, and this is the worst court we've ever had. And then there's going to be people that say this is the best court we've ever had. But I think maybe that's the way it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah. I mean, I thought that Supreme Court January 6th case was kind of fascinating because, when the ruling first came out, I saw 6-3 on there. And, of course, I assumed, which was very poor decision-making on my part, that it was all the conservative justices and all the liberal justices ruling one way or the other, when really it was Ketanji Brown Jackson who actually ruled with the conservative justices, and Amy Coney Barrett actually dissented. So I thought that was fascinating to see former President Trump's final Supreme Court justice that he appointed kind of going against the January 6th defendants there, and seeing President Biden's only Supreme Court justice that he appointed ruling with them.
Yeah, so it's that type of stuff that really, kind of gives me still some faith in the court, that you do see those dissensions sometimes from the party in which the justice was appointed. So I think that really these justices do their best to look at the Constitution and do their best to make a ruling on it. So we shall see what happens today. It will definitely be interesting. I know people will be waiting with bated breath. Much like
we'll see how many protesters show up today too.
Well, that will they'll be waiting in the wings depending on what happens, and I'll be waiting in anticipation, much like our next series where we play each other in Baltimore. I believe that's next week.
Well, if you guys want to come down, let me know.
All right. Well, maybe we'll have to think of that. Maybe either next week or later in the season, we might have to talk about that. So, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News Radio. Thank you so much. Always a joy to talk to you, and thank you for your analysis. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, guys, and go O's.
All righty, take it easy. Speaking of the,
gonna beat those birds.
Yeah, I know the Yankees. Just really, wow. I mean,
you got Judge
pitching.
Looking good.
Judge looks great.
He's on track to. He could be a triple crowner right now. Right?
Judge looks very good.
Pace at this point in the season, and it is still early in the. Well, not really, right? Because we're going to be getting to the All-Star game in a couple of weeks, so we're at mid-season already.
Yeah, if you want to put your headphones on,
and
that way you can hear it because you're a little off mic there. You got to be right into that mic.
All right.
Now I know. Oh, see, there we go. Now I know what you can adjust your volume there.
I'm learning.
A little hot there. I keep my volume up, not as high as Bill's, but I keep it up there pretty good. But it is getting to the All-Star break, and that's kind of the scary time for Yankees fans because I saw an interesting stat. I don't know what the graphic is. I'll have to pull it up, but something along the lines of they gave from since 2002, since 2022, they gave an infographic here that I'm looking at. In 2022, the Yankees started 61-23 and finished 38-40. In 2023, they started 36-25 and finished 46-55. And this was as of a couple games ago, starting 50-22, going 2 for 9. So second half of the season can be a scary time for Yankees.
You had a good end of the season last year, though. So I think you have to look at how the team looks and how they're positioned. So it was a great start this year. Not a bad finish, not the way you want it. But last year, obviously, want to be in the World Series. But I think
the playoffs.
But I think you saw improvement.
For a
it's
shot.
been a while, and I kind of wonder when you look at like the ownership too, right? When you look at when the old man was there, right? It was a whole different.
It was a different culture.
Different culture. I mean, he accepted nothing but winning, right? And would do whatever he needed to do. And I think now, even though it's within the family, the Steinbrenner family, I think it's a different approach, and so it's kind of interesting. I think
pitching's an issue still,
but the bullpen particularly, right?
Yes, but anyway, I think you got to let the season play out. It's just a crap as we learned from this Blue Jays series. It's a crapshoot whether or not the offense is going to show up. They can score 16 runs or 1 or 3.
And the other thing that's difficult is the AL East is pretty close, though, this year, too.
Yeah.
It's not like anybody's blowing anybody out, which is good and bad, I guess, right?
It is. So, of course, there is a lot still to discuss as we're approaching the top of the hour here. There's still a lot to discuss with regard to this tragic incident that happened in Utica Friday night. Coming up, we'll speak with Steve Houck. And I think Big Honey and Hecla leaving a comment this morning via the app. He says, I believe it's totally wrong that the media gives the police officers names involved. I could be mistaken, but that may be the law, or it has to be released. Utica police were very quick to release those names. I don't know if that's a law that has to be required, but we'll also get more explanation from Steve Houck when he's in this morning about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you have to be careful on something like this because it's emotionally charged. It's there's so much that goes into a tragic incident in so many different ways, and these are human beings too, and nobody's intending to get into this situation. You have to remember that, right? This is what happens when you're out on the street. Things happen very fast, and it's difficult, as we indicated earlier. It's challenging, but individuals like these individuals in law enforcement too, you can't demonize the individuals, even though this is the worst of what you want to see in a community. And I think that's unfortunate too. When people begin to pick sides here.
Yeah.
These individuals are out there each and every day putting their lives on the line too in order to serve and protect. So this is just tragic in so many ways, as we've indicated.
Yeah, and again, I'll keep reiterating the fact that there is an investigation that still has to be conducted. The investigation into whether there, was any justification or criminality here will be determined by the Attorney General's office.
That is law now, yes. And that is to bring in the outside agency, but also you have the PD doing their own work and looking at everything relative to this. And there's an emotional toll on that officer too. I mean,
without a doubt.
So
yeah, I mean, with everybody involved, and I think that I think people just need to be careful about blanket statements and generalized statements about the situation. And while we're past the era of topics, it has been replaced with Facebook and other social media platforms. Some of the stuff I've been seeing on Facebook, over the past few days, really just makes me scratch my head. I'm amazed that some people will say some of the things they will say so freely.
So nobody wants to see something like this happen.
Right.
And so now the question is, how do you approach this, right?
Correct.
It's a tragedy, and people want to know why, how, and the factors that are involved. There's got to be a sensitivity to the officer. There's got to be compassion for the family and the community. So there's just a lot of emotions that are going to be evident and demonstrated. And I think that's the key, too. And I think the community is trying to be very transparent and trying to engage, the city administration with the community. And that's kind of important, too. And hopefully, as a community, we will rise above and see that, too, and recognize that, this is a tragedy. And what can we as a community do to be there to support one another, as opposed to try to
tear one another down.
Tear one another down.
Well, we will talk more about this as we're coming up against a hard break here in just a few seconds. Of course,
your way of telling me to stop talking. All right, I got
just
it.
for now. Just for now.
By the way, today is not only the end of the Supreme Court, but it's Canada Day.
Oh, it is. That's
and
right.
We do have Canadians here, particularly at the Eastern Air Defense Sector. So happy
yeah,
Canada
actually,
Day.
yes. There's a lot of people that work in Rome, and I've missed the one time, so I've got to just extend this a little bit so we have a little bit more time, but not much. The Canadian military is there's a very heavy presence of that up at the base, and they do a lot of great work. So happy Canada Day. Also to our colleague down the hall who's on vacation, Pollywog from Big Frog is a native Canadian.
Coach Heenan,
of course, yes, as well. So
Sean
there are
Wyman.
several notable Canadians in our community, and we wish them a happy Canada Day as well. There's much to get to still in the program this morning. Again, coming up top of the 7 o'clock hour, we'll have your news and sports update, but also Lieutenant Steve Houck, former UPD Public Information Officer. He'll be weighing in with his take on all of what happened over the weekend. All that coming up on First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX.
Hi, this is Rob Hilton of Hilton Estate and Elder Law with important information that you should know regarding your estate planning. Specifically, you should have prepared what is known as the Big Three. Basic estate planning is comprised of the three main documents that you need. First is the will, next is the healthcare proxy, and last is the power of attorney. What most people don't know is how important of the three the power of attorney really is, because New York State has no simple method for you to act on another's behalf if they become incapacitated. I am often asked, what is probate and why is it needed? Probate is the act of administering the will through the New York State court system. It requires a filing fee and other actions to be taken, as well as a petition to be filed. It is time-consuming and can be expensive. It can be avoided by using a living trust. To find out more about strategies to protect your loved ones through proper estate planning, contact us at Hilton Estate and Elder Law. Call for more information and to schedule an in-person meeting to answer your questions.
Hilton, you know the name. They know the law. Hilton Estate and Elder Law.
You likely know all about our heating and cooling solutions at Fred F. Collis & Sons.
What you may not know is that this just scratches the surface of what Collis can do for your home and comfort.
Insulation, air sealing, indoor air quality, water heaters, generators.
And of course, heating and cooling.
No matter what you need, you can always count on Collis.
Count on Collis to help you stay cool and save energy this summer by scheduling your free home energy assessment. Visit fredfcollis.com.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX Utica, Rome.
W295EI.
WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM, a Town Square media station.
They want President Biden to keep running for re-election. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
The stakes of this race couldn't be higher, and the only Democrat who's ever beaten Donald Trump is Joe Biden.
Senator Chris Coons on NBC's Meet the Press has many Democrats now rally around the president. Despite last week's debate performance, the House's Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries tells MSNBC,
"We're running against a con man who lied his way through the entire debate on Thursday."
President Biden's family and advisors also reportedly urging him to stay in the race at a Camp David gathering over the weekend. We'll get the final Supreme Court rulings of this term this morning. The most anticipated one, the Trump case. The former president's claim he should be immune from prosecution, which has delayed the 2020 election-related Trump federal trial. Ex-Trump advisor Steve Bannon goes behind bars today for contempt of Congress related to the 2021 Capitol riots.
After being denied Friday by the U.S. Supreme Court for a delay in sentencing, pending an appeal, it's 4 months in prison for former President Trump advisor Steve Bannon for ignoring congressional subpoenas in then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's J6 investigation. He claimed executive privilege.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. There are two Boeing updates this morning. The company's buying a key parts supplier, Spirit Aerosystems, for more than $4 billion. The other potential Boeing deal is with the Justice Department and could be even bigger.
The DOJ plans to charge Boeing with criminal fraud and has presented the commercial airplane manufacturer with a plea deal after Boeing violated the terms of a 2021 deferred prosecution agreement that was put in place following the two 737 MAX crashes in 2018 and 2019.
Fox's Sue Guzman. Those crashes killed 346 people. Victims' families were briefed on the potential Boeing guilty plea offer, and they object. U.S. military bases have been put on heightened alert status in Europe, with a defense official telling Fox there's credible intelligence of a plot to attack. America's listening to Fox News.
If you had $1 million in 2009, today it will be worth less than $700,000. That's the effect of out-of-control government spending shrinking your hard-earned dollars, and it's why central banks and savvy investors are buying gold. For thousands of years, gold has withstood war, famine, and economic downturns. It's been a stalwart hedge against inflation and hyperinflation. And the company I, Buck Sexton, trust to help you diversify into gold is Birch Gold Group. For 2 decades, Birch Gold has helped concerned Americans convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. And the best part, it doesn't cost you a penny out of pocket. With an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, you can trust Birch Gold, too.
To learn more, text the word PROTECT to 989898 and get a free, no-obligation info kit on gold. Again, text PROTECT to the number 989898 to protect your hard-earned savings today.
A hurricane is barreling toward the Windward Islands. Barrel has weakened a bit, down from a Category 4 to 3, but it could bring dangerous storm surge and downpours.
We're expecting widespread rainfall totals of 3 to 6 inches across Barbados and the Windward Islands. We could see isolated totals of as much as 8 inches on portions of Barbados, up to 10 inches in portions of the Grenadines.
Mike Brennan at the National Hurricane Center. Beryl could later hit Central America and Mexico. France's government may take a right turn. The country's National Rally Party has the lead after the first round of parliamentary elections, which have been called for by French President Emmanuel Macron, who's a centrist. The final voting will be this coming Sunday. In Canada,
Félix Antoine Hamel, whose name was on the ballot for a seat in the Canadian Parliament, became the first candidate ever in Canada not to get a single vote in a contested federal election. He didn't even vote for himself, couldn't actually, as he lives outside the district. Hamel allowed his name to be included on the ballot as part of a protest of Canada's election system. He called himself truly the unity candidate, as everybody agreed not to vote for him. Jack Callahan, Fox News.
On Wall Street, stock futures are rising modestly before this week's trading starts the second half of the year. So far, for 2024, the Dow is up almost 4%. The Nasdaq has gained 18%. They're playing tennis on grass right now in London. Wimbledon's underway.
Carlos Alcaraz is the defending men's champion, and he's fresh off a victory at the French Open in June, his third Grand Slam title. Novak Djokovic was placed in the draw on Friday, less than a month after surgery to repair a torn meniscus in his right knee. On the women's side, American Coco Gauff is the second seed, and won't have to face 1 seed Iga Swiatek until the final if both players make it that far.
That's Fox's Joe Morgan. Joey Logano won the NASCAR race in Nashville. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Good morning, WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM News Time 7:05. I'm Andrew Derminio. This update brought to you by Adirondack Home Furniture. Right now we have mostly cloudy skies, 58 degrees. It will warm up and get sunny today. Your full forecast in minutes. A vigil was held Saturday night in Utica to remember a 13-year-old boy fatally shot by police. Police say officers conducted a stop of 2 juveniles Friday night along the 900 block of Shaw Street relative to an investigation. According to the investigation, Niam Way pointed what appeared to be a handgun at officers, and that's when one of the Utica police officers fired his gun, striking the teen. Way died of his injuries at an area hospital. During the vigil on Shaw Street, several of those in attendance became emotional and shouted, "No justice, no peace." Meanwhile, police have released body cam footage from the incident. All 3 of the officers involved have been placed on administrative leave, pending an investigation by the Attorney General's office and an internal investigation. A suspect is in custody after a stabbing outside of a donut shop in Chittenango. Police say this stemmed from a road rage incident between 2 men along I-5 on Saturday. The 2 men ended up in the parking lot of a Dunkin' off the interstate. That's when police say one of the men stabbed the other. The 25-year-old suspect was later arrested in Onondaga County. There's no word on the victim's condition. On Saturday, State Police responded to a personal injury accident on Doolittle Road in the town of Paris. An investigation determined a 2004 Ford Explorer traveling north on Doolittle Road moved from its lane and struck an earth embankment off the east shoulder, causing the vehicle to overturn. The driver and passenger, both 17 years of age, were injured and transported by Edwards Ambulance to Wynn Hospital. The driver sustained non-life-threatening injuries and was transported to Wynn, while the passenger of the vehicle was ejected from the vehicle and is last known to be in critical condition. He was transported to Upstate Medical Center in Syracuse. The investigation is ongoing. A fire is to blame for claiming the lives of 3 family pets and heavily damaging a home on the north side of Syracuse over the weekend. Firefighters were called to the 800 block of Wadsworth Street early Saturday morning. No one was at home when the fire started, but the family's 3 cats became trapped in the home and did not survive. Fire investigators have determined the exact cause of the fire, but say it did start in the kitchen. And it's one for the money. Elvis Presley's famed blue suede shoes sold Friday at auction for more than $150,000. They were picked up by a California collector who won the Henry Aldridge and Son auction. Presley made the shoes famous in his cover of Blue Suede Shoes and wore them for several performances. He gave them to a friend the night before he left for the Army in 1958, who kept them until now. No word if Smitty was the winning bid. You didn't buy the $150,000 blue suede shoes. All right. Well, somebody did. It is 7:08. Your weather forecast is brought to you by the new destination Kia of Utica on Commercial Drive in Yorkville. For today, we can expect an increase in sunshine. Temperatures will be in the mid to upper 70s. We'll see clear skies overnight with a low in the mid 50s. Then tomorrow we'll see an increase in clouds with a high in the low 80s, but it looks like a really good week as we'll see sunshine most of the week with temperatures in the low to mid 80s. Right now we're at 58 degrees under cloudy skies. It's 7:09. In sports, which are brought to you by IBEW NECA 43 local contractors, the New York Yankees, on again, off again, New York Yankees, came out with a victory to close the 4-game series with the Blue Jays splitting that series. They won 8-1 from Rogers Center yesterday. Garrett Cole earned his first victory of the season after striking out 6 batters and allowing 1 run over 5 innings pitched. Aaron Judge went 2 for 4 and hit his major league leading 31st home run of the year. New York is now tied with Baltimore for first in the AL East at 54-32. They'll host the Cincinnati Reds for a 3-game set that begins tomorrow night at Yankee Stadium. Meanwhile, the Mets were unable to complete the comeback after falling to the Houston Astros 10-5 in 11 innings at Citi Field. Matt Festa was charged with the loss after allowing 5 runs, 4 of them earned, on 4 hits over an inning of relief. The Mets will visit the Nationals for a 4-game series that begins tonight in D.C. The Mets are now 1 game underneath 500 in the NL East. They're third there. Some big moves in the NBA as Paul George agrees to a huge deal with the 76ers. It's a 4-year, $212 million deal that broke overnight. So that will be a big, huge move in the NBA. Also, the Warriors moving on from Chris Paul prior to the start of free agency. James Harden will sign another contract with the Los Angeles Clippers, a 2-year, $70 million contract. Not too shabby. The NASCAR race from Nashville Super Speedway yesterday saw Joey Logano take home the checkered flag, and Wimbledon is underway as we speak in London, the one of the majors in tennis that is underway and will last for the next week or so. ReviveUtica.com. ReviveUtica.com is the website, but the doctor is Tim Delmedico and his staff. They are excellent. I am a patient of Revive Softwave Therapy on Genesee Street. I was dealing with some foot and ankle pain after a half marathon. Yes, a half marathon I ran earlier this year. You may not believe it, but I did. I was dealing with some foot and ankle inflammation and pain, and after 6 treatments, that pain went from about an 8 to a 0. It's an FDA-cleared, non-invasive, and drug-free treatment for chronic pain, inflammation, and joint issues. Whether you're dealing with neck, back, knee, wrist, arthritis, neuropathy, shoulder pain, or more, Softwave may be able to help. Rob Esch, owner of the Comets, he is a patient of Softwave, and you can see his testimonial video at ReviveUtica.com. You can look into the benefits of Softwave, dig into some of the research that went into this technology, and more on the website. You can also get their number, 315-725-8427. That's 315-725-8427. If you're sick of the pain pills and you're sick of those pain injections and you may want to stave off the surgery just a little bit longer, give them a call and see if they can help. And if you mention the Keeler Show, you'll get a discount, part of your initial consultation with one of their doctors, your first Softwave therapy treatment, and they'll put you on a treatment recovery plan and assessment. It's Revive Softwave Therapy on Genesee Street in Utica. Let the healing begin with ReviveUtica.com. Coming up, we've got Steve Houck in studio. We'll get right into it right after this on First News with Keeler in the Morning on WIBX.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
I plan to rearrange my closet, but I stopped after picking the clothes up off the floor.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's award-winning language learning app will help you start speaking another language. Start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
Comment tu t'appelles?
Comment tu t'appelles?
Vous êtes où?
Vous êtes où?
Babbel's bite-sized lessons make it easy to learn words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks,
"How's your French going?"
you can say,
Babbel est amusant et facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue. Et cela ne prend que 15 minutes par jour.
When you want to really learn another language, it starts with Babbel. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Who else is tired of searching countless websites for the perfect tee time? Rapid Tee Golf is here to revolutionize your golfing experience. Booking a tee time is a breeze now. Just one tap and I'm on my favorite course. With Rapid Tee Golf, enjoy real-time notifications and seamless bookings at the top courses. Rapid Tee Golf, tee time on your time. Visit rapidteegolf.com today and never miss out on a tee time again. Visit rapidteegolf.com now.
It's time for July 4th doorbusters at Lowe's. Now through July 1st, save $900 on a Lowe's exclusive Hisense French door refrigerator. Was $18.99, now just $9.99. And get 3 for $10 on 10-pound bags of Royal Oak charcoal for all your summer barbecues. Shop these deals before they're gone, because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 7/1. Appliance price includes all discounts while supplies last.
Hey guys, do you want male performance in the bedroom and do you want it now?
Get it in 47 seconds or less. For the first time, you can have instant male enhancement. Introducing Knox 47, the topical male enhancement that works in 47 seconds or less. Satisfaction guaranteed. Finally, after years of scientific research, our proprietary formula will allow you to perform in the bedroom like never before. Just imagine that little blue pill on steroids. No reason to settle and wait when you can get instant performance now. Forget about pills and potions that make you wait hours or up to 30 days to work. That's yesterday's news. Knox 47 is brand new. The hottest thing for men. And you don't need a prescription. Call now and get your free supply for a limited time.
Find out how to get Knox 47 for free. Call now, 800-481-9983. That's 800-481-9983. Free bottles for limited time. Call 800-481-9983. That's 800-481-9983.
No matter what kind of pet you own, if you want to work the land, you should be a cat person. Bobcat, that is. Get a Bobcat compact tractor at Warner Sales and Service. Powerful and easy to use. Bobcat construction and landscaping equipment is known for its legendary quality. See everything a Bobcat can do when you demo a new Bobcat tractor at Warner Sales and Service. With their great selection of Bobcat compact tractors, one's perfect for the work you do. Warner Sales and Service on Greenway, New London Road, just off Route 365 between Rome and Verona.
At Warner's. Why is Navage perfect for allergy sufferers? Rhino Systems Medical Director Dr. Howard Levine explains.
If someone's exposed to allergens, they can get rid of those immediately by washing out the nose. Navage works by pulling saline in one nostril, through the nose and out the other nostril, sucking out allergens, mucus, dust, and germs. Experience on-the-spot relief so you could breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier.
Navage is available at Sam's Club, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or online at Navage.com. Navage. Breathe easy. This is Keeler in the Morning. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
First news, Keeler in the Morning on WIBX. It's a Monday morning, and Bill is off today. He is getting himself taken care of, and we wish Bill the best this morning as he's undergoing some additional treatments and doing the dreaded bone marrow samples. So we're thinking of Bill this morning and wishing him all the best out there in Buffalo. He'll be off this week, but we'll be back at it a week from today with the full staff. Davey in there. Thank you very much for all you do, Davey, as well. But to recap, over the weekend on Friday night at approximately 10:18 p.m., Utica police responded and were investigating an incident on the 900 block of Shaw Street. 2 male juveniles were stopped by police. A pursuit happened where one of the individuals ran from police, and unfortunately, there was a shooting that occurred. Utica police say that the juvenile brandished what appeared to be a handgun at police, and what happened next was truly tragic. 13-year-old Niam Way was shot and killed, and 3 officers are now placed on administrative paid leave pending an investigation by the Attorney General's office. And we thought, what better person to have in studio this morning than former Lieutenant Steve Houck, who was the former Utica Police Department Public Information Officer for several years, and you now in your after police career go around, travel the country, and train police departments specifically in this this venue or this job of public information officer. So good morning. Thank you for taking the time this morning. What are your initial thoughts on what happened, what occurred Friday?
Well, I think I probably felt what most people did, that it's a terrible thing, young man, 13 years old. And, having done the job for as long as I did, I was fortunate that I never had to discharge my weapon. But there was a lot of close calls throughout my career, and I always walked away from those being relieved. So I can tell you that no officer that I've ever met throughout my career has ever looked forward to the time where you had to, discharge your weapon at another human being. So I promise you that the officers involved here feel terrible and wish it had never happened. But unfortunately, in this career that we choose, you do have to make those decisions sometimes, and they always are made with not much warning. It's usually milliseconds. I watched the video from the body cam. Yeah. And from the second that the officers went to initiate a pat down to the time that the shot was fired was 30 seconds.
That's insane.
Which is an eternity, it seems, when you're in the middle of it. But really, it's not much more than a blink of an eye.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about the body cam footage. So, Utica Police, and from your perspective as public information officer, and also being in the ranks of the Utica Police Department also, and I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that this role of public information officer is on top of any role or job or duty that you may have within the department. But, talk about transparency on behalf of the Utica Police Department. Do you think that it was timely, and do you think that they've released this in a sufficient amount of time, so to speak? And is this the norm?
Yeah, I think that they've done a really good job thus far. I think that when you look at, that the word transparency gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
To me, and I've said this before in the previous administration, that it has to be really a philosophy. So many people throw that word around, but it really means nothing. It's a philosophy. It's, we serve the people. So and I always say all the time when I teach, is public information. The first word tells you whose information that is. It's the public's information. We are public servants. So the public has a right to see that, we're being held accountable. And, there's a standard by which we expect of our law enforcement, firefighters, and any of our public servants. So I think that they've done a good job. I also think that it's tricky initially on in these investigations about what information gets released so that you don't hinder any forward investigation. So it's a balance. A lot of times, very initially, there's not much information that's readily available. You haven't done your interviews. You haven't had a chance to look at body cam footage. You haven't had a chance to really dissect it. And I just posed the question to you. How many times did you watch the body cam? Because I watched it a number of times, and every time I watched it, I picked up something different.
Yeah.
So different for the officers evaluating that. I've had to look at a lot of body cam footage over the years on the job, and you watch it, and then you rewind it, and you watch it again, and you pick up something every time. So, it's difficult to go out there within hours of the incident happening and start giving tons of information that you don't really know exactly.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing, too, is I think that, getting back to the point you talked about, right, there was a 30-second time period from when the individual was stopped by police and the tragic events of the shot being fired. They don't have the advantage of going back or reevaluating or looking at it or dissecting it as we do now by looking at the body cam footage. There's some people that say, and I want to get into a little bit about kind of what happened from that time period of when the young man was stopped to when unfortunately he was shot. There's a lot of people that say he was on the ground. Does that have any impact on this? Should this have any impact on this as far as your thoughts in evaluating the body cam footage? If there's any difference between whether the suspect is on the ground when the shot was fired or running from police?
Well, it's sort of a nuanced answer. I've always been a proponent of body cam footage. When when we first did dash cams in the police department, I was there, and I remember I liked the idea of having it. And I remember some of the more senior officers didn't want it. They felt like it was the nanny state, like they're being watched.
Right.
I didn't look at it that way. And then, towards the end of my career, the body cams came on. And again, I've always been a proponent of it. I think it's essential for what we do, for everybody's sake. The problem with it is that we can't get so caught up in what's on video, and all of a sudden, in order to believe the police, we have to see it on video, because if it's not there, it didn't happen. I will tell you that you can look at several different people, watch the same video, and get different things out of it.
Yeah.
A camera is not a human being's eye, and vice versa. When you're up close on top of something and it's happening inches from your body, you don't see what a camera sees from 40 feet away.
Right.
Camera is a wide span. It picks up like that, the cell phone video. It picked up the whole scene. If you're the officer there, you're only seeing what's right in front of you. So you might not see, the first officer might not see a gun, the second officer might. It just depends on your perspective.
Correct.
So it's your angle, it's how close you are, it's dimly lit, you're running. There's a lot of things going on there. So, but by looking at that and trying to evaluate the video itself, I think that it happened quickly. Being on the ground, if you're armed, makes no difference where you are. If you're armed, you're armed. You're just as much of a threat on the ground as you are standing up, as you are running away, as you are in a car.
And one of the images that was almost slowed down, or that you could see that they emphasized in that body cam footage as the individual was running from police, it appeared that he, and again, from the video, we don't know all the details yet, but it appeared that he brandished and pointed it back towards police as he was running away. So there was a lot of questions of whether or not he even had this alleged handgun, but the body cam footage does work in some capacity to show that part of it. But also, too, when the officer was that close, there's a lot the body camera footage did not show, just because of, like you said, how close the police were to the individual, and one officer was blocking. So I think that will be left to the investigators to kind of really deep dive into that and make the final delineation. You did mention the video, the cell phone video that went viral before police were able to release the body cam footage. What are the issues with somebody making a decision based on that video from 40 feet away that really doesn't paint the whole picture, or may not paint the whole picture, as some have said it does not?
Oh, it clearly doesn't. It shows us the end of this pursuit, and it shows us the attempts to take him into custody, and then obviously the shot. But you can't see the shot. You can't see, honestly, you can't, except for maybe the officer, the initial officer that tackled him, you can't make out really anybody at all. And again, that's typical of a cell phone video from 40 feet away. So again, it's just another thing to add to it. It's certainly just a piece of the puzzle, if you will, when it comes to evaluating use of force.
One of the other issues here was the press conference, and I won't ask you, to say anything you're not comfortable saying, but as far as press conferences go, in your time working for the UPD as the PIO, what was your mindset, or how did you usually approach a press conference when it came to maybe not events like this, but a major incident that happened within the department?
Yeah, so, and that's one of the things I do now is I teach agencies across the country about how to set these things up and how to organize them. And they are very organized events. And they seem, the ones that seem like they're loose and well maintained, I promise you, there's a lot that goes into setting up. And as Joe knows, he's been involved in many himself. It's very structured in how press conferences are conducted. In this particular case, I watched it. I think that probably if they could have a do-over, they probably would have done some things differently.
Yeah.
I certainly appreciate the mayor's attempt to be transparent and give information to the public. However, in this type of situation, the most important thing is being able to get the information out. And that's where it failed, because they clearly had to stop the press conference because they were achieving nothing at one point. So it failed on that respect, that they weren't able to put out the information that I'm sure they wanted to put out. So, you can watch it and pick up from it and learn from it. Mike Curley's very skilled at what he does, and Mark's good at it. He knows. So I'm sure if they had to look at it again, they probably would have tweaked some things and done some things differently. But in the end, they didn't achieve what they set out to do. So I guess you'd have to call it a failure in that respect, because that's the end goal. You didn't achieve it. You weren't successful. So there's always another press conference to be held.
Yes.
And I certainly understand the family's reaction. It's a terrible thing for them. They had a 13-year-old young man that, they love dearly. And, clearly it seems he made some mistakes along the way. I do want to, one thing, if I could, for a second, about the body cam footage. I watched the body cam footage. It's clear to me that when we talk about evaluating use of force, because that's one of the things I did in the agency, is we look at the perspective of anyone that uses force. What are they seeing? What are they feeling, if you will?
Yeah.
So based on experience, because I'm going to pick up things differently than you two will because of my years in the job and my training and my experience. So is there a threat? Now, what does that threat consist of? Is it a threat to me, a threat to the public? There's a lot of things. So clearly, those officers, or at least the officer that discharged his weapon, felt that he was in danger from a real gun. And how do we know that? Well, one, if you watch the video, he looks at the gun when he picks it up off the ground.
Yeah.
The 13-year-old's gun. And he says to the officer, I think it's a 22.
Yeah.
Clearly, he thought it was a weapon. And if you look at it, twice he opens the slide. So he opens the action to look.
Which these replica guns are made so realistic now that they have a lot of the same configurations, functions of a real handgun.
Except they don't have a barrel. But you can see he opens it the first time and looks at it, and almost as if he's confused. He looks and he turns it. It almost seems as if he doesn't understand what he's looking at. He closes it and he goes back to do it again because it doesn't look inside. Once you open it, it doesn't have the appearance of a real barrel, which is what you'd be looking at. You'd be looking at either an empty barrel or a loaded barrel from the next round that came up through the chamber. So he clearly realizes he doesn't know what he's looking at, but he still says, I think it's a 22. Some people think that police officers are firearms experts. They are not. Some are. They're specially trained and they're firearms experts. But many of us, I never had a pistol permit. I never had a gun before I became a police officer. I was not a firearms expert. I still am not a firearms expert. I have a lot of knowledge from years of doing the job, but I am not an expert. So I'm not an armorer. So to sit and look at something like, I don't know exactly what I'm looking at here. To me, that's what was going through his head. He's looking at that. He looks at it again. And he literally hands it off and says, I think it's a 22. So I think he clearly thought that gun was real when it was pointed at him. And I think on the ground, that's the part that, at least for video, that's tricky because we just can't see that part. And body cam footage has limitations. That's what you have to understand. It is not going to show everything. That's just the nature of it. And the other thing is this, is that I'm all about having high expectations for our law enforcement. I've always felt that. When I did the job, I tried to do it with the utmost, respect for the agency and my job. But what we have to be careful of is having unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to be careful as a society. We can't expect the police officers to be marriage counselors and be hard when you're supposed to be hard and be soft when you're supposed to be soft, act with no emotion, be robots. We are not robots. Sometimes we make decisions based on the information we have. And based on what I saw, I don't see the officer had any other option. I don't.
We're speaking with Steve Houck, who is a former Utica Police Department public information officer and now teaches public information officers to agencies across the country. Finally, we'll leave you with this question. Senator, do you have anything?
No, but I mean, there are a lot of things here, and I think seeing and hearing from a professional all of the nuances that go into something like this, and one of the things I indicated too is that this is very difficult, obviously, for the family, but also for the officer. As you indicated, I mean, this is an emotional toll in so many different ways on so many different people, right? And as a community, I think it's important now because we've seen incidents and situations tragically across the nation. And I would hope that as a community here, and you talk about the press conference, some of that may have been logistics too, because I know they're undergoing construction.
Right.
And so where do you put it where you can do that? And then how do you bring people in to show not only transparency, but that, you're trying to bring the community together? Because I think, as you indicated, some of the chanting and everything like that, look, this is a time to console one another, to come together as a community, to get to the bottom of this.
Right.
It's a tragic circumstance and situation in so many different ways. But I would hope that as a community we rise together as opposed to the polarization that you've seen here. Because there's no indication, and you know this, nobody's out there intending to bring harm to someone else, in my opinion, right? I mean, as you said, Lieutenant, that these are millisecond decisions based upon what is taking place from a human perspective, and so that's my hope right now. And you've seen this when you train across the country. So I guess where I'm going with this question, don't have much sleep. I was only on 4 hours sleep.
You're doing good. Keep it up. Keep it up.
My voice and I'm still, alert. So what do you tell people, because of what people have seen in other times and places, that maybe trying to transpose that here again too, saying, well, this is what happened in Detroit, in Minneapolis, and this is what happened here. And that's not necessarily the way it should be looked at, in my opinion.
Yeah, no one case is the same.
No, and it's hard to separate the emotions sometimes, especially if it's someone that's involved that that you're close with. I think that, and I'm certain of this, knowing and worked with the people at the Utica Police Department, that they will separate the fact from the emotion, and it's important. And that's hard to do because we are human beings. But they'll break down every nuance of what happened, decide whether it was justified or not. Again, I'm looking at only going on the information I have. I don't have access to the officers to ask them what they were thinking or any of that stuff. So I'm looking at body cam footage. But I think that we as a community need to understand that the police department really truly does want to serve the community. And unfortunately, in a big, diverse community that we are, incidents are going to occur. It doesn't make it any easier on you when you lose someone you love, but hopefully we can grow and maybe learn some lessons. I don't know why. I don't know why he ran. I don't know why he had that pellet gun on him. I think probably through time we'll find out what was involved.
Yeah.
I think that, and we talked about it on the break about, I'm not one much for the government restricting everything we do. It's not in my nature. I don't appreciate that. However, I don't see where these realistic looking guns serve anybody.
Right.
They don't serve a legitimate purpose, in my opinion. It's just dangerous. And when you put them in the hands of people who are very young, who maybe aren't the best decision makers, bad things can happen. And I think that's unfortunate.
Yeah, we have to put this in perspective. I mean, think about where you were when you were 13 years old. You don't have the world experience or some of the situational occurrences in your life to maybe realize, or the guidance to say, what you should and shouldn't do, or how you should act in a certain situation, or what the ramifications of that could be. So ultimately, it can only really lead to, unfortunately, the tragic occurrence that happened today. And we can get into the issues of the ongoing threat of youth violence that the city has seen. Our first 2 homicides in the city this year were a 16 and 17-year-old victim, and the police are still getting to the bottom of those. So definitely youth violence has been an issue that police are battling with. But to that point, and I'll ask this final question, unless the senator has anything else. Community relations between Utica residents and the police department have always been an ongoing struggle in some cases, in some situations. This does not help that. Where does the police department go from here to try to repair that and to continue to build a positive relationship with the community they serve?
From my time there, and I think that's continued, I could tell you Mark Williams, it's important to him. He's always felt that. And I think they do a good job getting out in the community and understanding the base. We've in the agency itself, it's very diverse from the people that do the job. So it is not a bunch of back in the history in the 50s, it was either Italian or you're Irish, and that's what you did. It's not like that anymore. It's very very diverse agency, and they do a lot of community outreach, but it's also incumbent upon the community to want to understand the police. We've done these citizen police academies over the years to try to explain how the police department works and how they operate. So I know it's important to them, and I think they do a pretty good job. Obviously, I'm a little biased in that respect because I was around it firsthand for so many years. But
right,
it's not an easy thing, policing in modern times. But I think as an agency, they're very professional and they do things the good way.
Well, Steve Houck, thank you so very much. We appreciate your insight always. Whenever something like this happens, we always appreciate you taking the time to come in. And I'm sure departments across the country appreciate your expertise and training, because training police departments to handle this type of stuff is critical. And I think you do a wonderful job with that, and we always appreciate it.
My pleasure.
We do have to break. We're foregoing the free money question of the day today. We'll be back tomorrow. First News, Keeler in the Morning continues next on your News Talk and Sports Leader, WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM.
My Carl's 4th of July sale is spectacular. All-American money-saving celebration filled with incredible furniture values. Low holiday prices. 2-piece sofa and love seat sets from $5.99. Reclining sofas from $4.99. Bedrooms as low as $5.99. Queen mattress as low as just $1.99. I have hundreds of items in stock. Buy it today, have it today, or arrange fast delivery. Plus, All-American, no credit needed financing. Don't wait. Get to My Carl's 4th of July sale and save today.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard. But when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks,
"How's your French going?"
you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
More than 200 members of Congress are standing up for AM radio listeners. The AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act will keep AM radio in cars, because when cell and internet services are down, this free service could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress to pass this critical legislation now.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-386-9945. 800-386-9945. 800-386-9945.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, I'm Cesar Milan. People are always commenting on how healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend is a premium freeze-dried raw dog food designed to support your dog's health, happiness, and lifespan. Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of cod Crispies. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511.
Your order is back with a 90-day guarantee.
All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
28 years ago, Lori Potasowicz had a dream. With a natural love for pets, she wanted to become an expert groomer. So she set out to become the area's only nationally certified master groomer and launched her business, one paw at a time. With grooming expertise and a lot of loving care, Lori and her talented team began caring for pets one paw at a time. Cuts, shampoos, and styling, one paw at a time. Teeth and nails with no detail overlooked from head to toe, one paw at a time. Getting to know each and every dog and cat by name, the One Paw at a Time family grew, and Lori had a decision to make. Keep expanding? She followed her heart and decided to keep the One Paw family atmosphere just the way it is, so she can keep taking care of the pets she knows and loves, one paw at a time. Lori and her team want to thank the families they serve for putting their trust in them to care for their four-legged family members, one paw at a time. 320 Oriskany Boulevard in Whitesboro near Woods Road. One Paw appreciates your understanding for their current waiting list for new customers.
The IBEW Local 43 and the National Electrical Contractors Association have been a part of Central New York for over 100 years. The IBEW state-of-the-art training facility offers classroom instruction as well as everyday on-the-job construction training. From the Carrier Dome to our local hospitals, malls, schools, and city buildings, Central New York's future is bright, and the IBEW Local 43 will continue to help light, power, and grow our community.
IBEW Utica. Hi, I'm Cesar Milan. People are always commenting on how healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend is a premium freeze-dried raw dog food designed to support your dog's health, happiness, and lifespan. Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of cod Crispies. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511.
Your order is back with a 90-day guarantee.
All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
WIBX. This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
First news, Keeler in the morning. 950 AM, 92.3 FM. You can stream us anywhere you go with the free WIBX 950 mobile app. And we are up on YouTube this morning, which we had a little bit of technical difficulty there before, but now we no longer have those issues. And yes, the camera does add a few pounds for me, but we were just getting some fitness. We were getting some fitness tips from Steve Houck, who is in very good shape, and we all envy him for that. Joe and I were getting a few fitness tips from Steve as he was making his way out. But just to recap his appearance, definitely some insightful information, and definitely his expertise was warranted this morning and appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely, and particularly when not only his experience in law enforcement, but the fact that he is going around the country and speaking to various seminars and talking about how to handle and how to, and he gave us an information as he left on how you see something, right? What he uses a technique when he's talking and appearing at some of these seminars. Again, the most, to me, the community is going to be the key here. How the community reacts, how the community responds, ultimately, I think will be the important aspect when you remember an individual, a tragic situation, considering all that were and who were involved. But as a community, who are we and what are we? And this is what we'll see. And hopefully, I think this community can come together,
Well, I hope we do, because right now, and stuff you've seen on social media and people commenting over the weekend, there does seem to be some division, but hopefully at some point we can find a way to come together and make progress and make sense of all this.
Well, that's part of the emotion, though, and understandable. The concern would be agitation, that you don't want people agitating for whatever reason or motivation. But the emotions, being the raw emotion right now, is understandable, and how you find balance in that, where you respect and remember and console. There's just so many different aspects to that emotion, or as an individual, right? When you go through this, there's grief from the family's perspective. There's shock in the community, so there's just so many elements to this. And I think the most important thing is how we approach it. And I believe that this community can come together.
Well, I hope so. And one member of the community who is been especially helpful to WIBX lately is, and maybe you've seen his work on YouTube and on Facebook. If you haven't, you should follow him, Antoine Spratt of Utica. He's an independent journalist who does phenomenal work. He's always at the scene of many major events in the city, and he was also a big part of the coverage, his own personal coverage of this tragic event over the weekend. Antoine joins us this morning. Good morning, Antoine. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. First of all, your initial thoughts of all that went on over the weekend, and through your lens, both looking at it and through your camera, what are your thoughts?
Good morning. It was very chaotic, very, very sad in terms of events. Kind of wish it didn't happen. It hurts for Naib Moy's family. I extend my condolences to him and his family. Most importantly, now we need to focus on what's next for the community. Obviously, the community is hurting as well. So we just have to figure out what's going to happen next.
Yeah, without a doubt. And you go out, your heart goes out to everybody. And, at the end of the day, there's a 13-year-old child whose life was taken far too soon. And the events surrounding it will be discovered through the Attorney General's investigation, and hopefully that will happen quickly. Sometimes it doesn't happen quickly. So in the meantime, I think the community has to realize that this has to play out, and hopefully the truth will come to it. From your vantage point, you cover a lot of situations that happen in the city of Utica very well, actually, and you can see a lot of Antoine's videos on our website, WIBX950.com. You were at the press conference. Talk about what that was like for you covering that event, and kind of the mood in the room, and how you feel that kind of was handled.
When I first arrived at City Hall, I was expecting it to be just the media. I wasn't expecting a crowd. Well, obviously it was going to be a crowd of people, most likely. I was expecting it to be outside the building. So it was like kind of hard getting into the building to get to set up and everything. It was very loud, so chaotic. It was very, I hate to say it, unorganized. I can kind of see the mayor's point. He was trying to be transparent along with the police department. It was trying to be transparent, but honestly, I believe that it should have been handled a little differently. The media should have been off to the side to collect the information so we can get the information out to the public in a timely fashion.
Now you've done a wonderful job establishing a reputation, and I think this is, we've got, our mediums here, both online and over the air, to get the word out. But you've done a tremendous job, not only building the trust of the community, but kind of being, boots on the ground type individual. In your everyday experiences, and I'm kind of shifting shifting things a little bit, what has your experience been with Utica Police and how they've handled other events, and you're kind of being at the scene and working kind of with them indirectly?
Right. I haven't had any issues with the Utica Police Department. My job is to be there to document things that's happening in the community, obviously. But I did encounter some incidents in the past where, I've seen for myself where the police officers did have situations where it could have been handled much better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kind of a lack of training when it comes to hostile situations. I'm not a police officer, but I respect the officers. I understand they have a job to do. But most importantly, everything happens in a matter of seconds. I don't know if, the training can kind of help those situations.
Yeah.
And I think that, I believe that, even though I just said that, I believe that more training is required.
Yeah. Well, you always hope that, agencies not only locally but across the country can learn from this and always do better. And I think that's the goal. I think that, every police agency is always looking to get better and, get more training and to learn from these tragic incidents. We can only hope that is the case here.
Right. I do want to point out that it's not a secret that it's not a secret that we have issues with juveniles here locally, but this is the issue that's going on around the country. If you pull up stories in other cities across the country, you will see headlines, with individuals that at the age of 13, 14, 15, juveniles. It's an issue, and I believe that, it needs to be addressed, because how do we resolve it? It's going to continue to unfold if we're not going to speak on it. These kids are being ignored pretty much. They're crying out for help, and we as the adults, we're not really doing nothing about it. All we're doing is taking acknowledgement of it happening. But what are we doing in the future? Like, what can we do to prevent these incidents from unfolding?
Yeah, it's a difficult thing, and as you know from your coverage and your very good and extensive coverage, we've got a situation where it's difficult to deal with, but a 16 and 17-year-old were the first two homicide victims in the city of 2024, and right. What is the answer? I think that remains to be seen. But to your point, Antoine, I think it's a good one. Antoine Spratt, independent journalist here in the area, you've done a wonderful job covering, on the ground, up close and personal, everything that goes on in our city. And I truly appreciate all the help that you've given to WIBX and what you're doing to try to get to the bottom of most stories in the city. We thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Welcome. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Antoine Spratt, independent journalist, does a phenomenal job, and his video work is very good, whether it be a car accident, a fire, or something as grave and serious as this. And again, Senator Griffo, he brings up a tremendous point. What can be done about this youth violence epidemic that's plagued not only our city but cities across the country?
Well, I think we have to look at this in a number of ways. First of all, in New York, I think my concern is that when we altered some of the laws and had raised the age, that there was a concern that individuals, older individuals or gang members would take advantage of younger people and manipulate them.
They're very astute and smart when it comes to manipulating the laws to their favor, so to speak.
So that's part of the concern too. Are some of these young people being co-opted, because of others that are involved in crime, but they're using these youngsters because they know that the prosecution is different now. But beyond that, I think it takes a lot of things. It's economic opportunity for young people. It's how we can educate and ensure that they have a better understanding and appreciation for what they can and should aspire to be. So from an education perspective, from an economic opportunity perspective, from social and recreational outlets for these in a positive way. So there are and many organizations and programs exist, but we can always do better.
Well, we've lost a lot. I mean, I remember as a kid, I grew up in West Utica, actually, a street, literally a street away from where this incident happened. I grew up and, was on the street with my friends playing baseball and coming in when the street lights came on and definitely a different time than now. But, I went to the Boys and Girls Club every summer, or the neighbor. There's the neighborhood center now, but there was a number of organizations for youth to go in this summer that have been shut down, and whether that's an issue of funding or what, I think that remains to be seen. But something definitely needs to be done.
All of that is the approach, right? It's not just one specific thing. It's a combination of a number of things that have to be brought together. And as you indicated, this is not just a local concern or a state concern. It's actually a national concern.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to continue to focus on that and to develop and dedicate resources for these type of activities in education, in social and recreational outlets, and take a look at some of the current laws that may be in the statutes that are on that could be or should be re-examined and revised.
Definitely. So there's a lot to unpack here. We'll take a break from this topic a little bit at the top of the hour out of news. We'll speak to Dan Snell, who will give us his thoughts and a bit of a recap on the repercussions from Thursday night's presidential debate or presidential debacle that occurred. Dan Snell is an expert on politics and leadership. We'll speak to him coming up. Also, we will have later on in the program Chief Mark Williams and Lieutenant Mike Curley to give an update on what they can talk about so early in the infancy of this investigation. That and more coming up. And just remember always to think before you type or think before you speak, and make sure that we really give the time to let this investigation happen. And we can only, at this time, pray for the families of everybody involved, especially the family of a 13-year-old child whose life was cut way too short in a really senseless way. First News Keeler in the Morning, WIBX.
Hi, this is Rob Hilton of Hilton Estate and Elder Law with important information for families that have disabled children to protect the child and to ensure your future wishes are met. So if you have a disabled child, you need to provide them with what's called a special needs trust. This trust allows them to receive an inheritance from you, but also allows them to keep any governmental benefits that they are receiving. It is critically important that if they have an inheritance coming, that they not lose their benefits. Unmarried couples should be aware of important steps they need to take with their estate planning. If a partner dies and does not leave a will, the surviving partner will not likely receive any of the assets from the deceased partner. This can create a lot of problems in the future and must be resolved utilizing a will or a trust. To find out more about strategies to protect your loved ones through proper estate planning, contact us at Hilton Estate and Elder Law. Call for more information and to schedule an in-person meeting to answer your questions.
Hilton, you know the name, they know the law. Hilton Estate and Elder Law.
Don't let the weather get you down. Schulman and Rosansky Family Dentistry reminds you that there is something to smile about. Spring is here, and summer is just around the corner.
I'm Dr. Andrew Rosansky, letting you know it's time to get that smile into perfect shape with the spring cleaning or veneers. You'll be smiling well into summer and beyond.
Get the smile that gets smiles at Shulman and Rosansky Family Dentistry, 1 Paris Road, New Hartford, and online at uticasmiles.com.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams July holiday sale and get 30% off paints and stains from June 28th through July 8th. With prices starting at $34.29, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX Utica, Rome, W295EI, WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM, a Town Square media station.
Backing President Biden. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A lot of Democrats are doing that now.
One debate does not define a person's record or the kind of person or the situation.
Senator John Fetterman on Fox News Sunday. Senator Chris Coons tells ABC's This Week.
The only Democrat who's ever beaten Donald Trump is Joe Biden. He is our candidate for November, and he has the best shot to beat him.
The Biden families also urged the president at Camp David to stay in the 2024 race.
Politico reporting that the family is pointing the finger at his top campaign advisors for how poorly the president did Thursday night. Politico says the blame was cast widely on staffers, including Anita Dunn, the senior advisor who frequently has the president's ear, her husband Bob Bauer, the president's attorney who played Trump in rehearsals at Camp David, and Ron Klain, the former chief of staff who ran point on the debate prep.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. In 2 hours, the Supreme Court will rule on the Trump case and the former president's claim he should be immune from prosecution for official acts taken in office, which has delayed the 2020 election-related Trump federal trial. Ex-Trump advisor Steve Bannon has to report to a federal prison today in Connecticut.
Days after the U.S. Supreme Court denied a last-minute bid to put his 4-month sentence on hold while he appeals his contempt of Congress conviction. A jury found the 7-year-old guilty of contempt in 2022 for not complying with the House January 6th committee subpoena for his testimony.
Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. Some American troops overseas may be targets.
All American military bases in Europe have been put on heightened alert status due to a potential terrorist attack. A U.S. defense official telling Fox News there is credible intel pointing to an attack over the next week or so.
Fox's Kathleen Maloney. Hurricane Beryl is now a Category 4 storm again. It's gotten stronger as it is also on track to hit the Windward Islands, Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, the Grenadines. America's listening to Fox News.
If you had $1 million in 2009, today it will be worth less than $700,000. That's the effect of out-of-control government spending shrinking your hard-earned dollars. And it's why central banks and savvy investors are buying gold. For thousands of years, gold has withstood war, famine, and economic downturns. It's been a stalwart hedge against inflation and hyperinflation. And the company I, Buck Sexton, trust to help you diversify into gold is Birch Gold Group. For 2 decades, Birch Gold has helped concerned Americans convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. And the best part, it doesn't cost you a penny out of pocket. With an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, you can trust Birch Gold, too.
To learn more, text the word PROTECT to 989898 and get a free, no-obligation info kit on gold. Again, text PROTECT to the number 989898 to protect your hard-earned savings today.
It's July 1st, and that means some new laws are taking effect nationwide.
In California, an 11% tax on guns and ammo sold is now law, on top of a 10 or 11% federal tax. California, the only state to have both, will use the revenue to fund violence prevention programs. Undocumented immigrants in Illinois can get driver's licenses starting today. It will replace the temporary visitor's license and will be a valid ID. In D.C., the minimum wage goes up today to $17.50 an hour for non-tipped workers. As of now, that's the highest in the country. And one of Mississippi's new laws will allow American Sign Language to count as a foreign language credit toward high school graduation. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
On Wall Street, stock futures are up modestly after we hit halftime for the year Friday, and so far the market's been up in 2024. The Dow gaining almost 4%, the Nasdaq's up 18%. At the movies, Inside 2 remains number one a third week.
Riley is officially a teenager now.
The Disney Pixar film remains atop the box office with another $57 million weekend. Globally, Inside Out 2 has topped $1 billion in ticket sales, the first movie to do that since Barbie. A Quiet Place Day 1 debuted in second, taking in $53 million. Joey Logano, a big winner on the NASCAR racetrack in Nashville.
Logano won his first Cup Series race this year after 31 extra laps and 5 restarts in overtime. But the two-time driving champ qualified for this year's playoffs. He beat Zane Smith by roughly 7/100ths of a second.
You know, trying to make the playoffs is not easy these days with these next-gen cars, and everyone's so equally matched. And you know, I made a lot of mistakes, even some tonight, and it's nice to be able to overcome.
Courtesy NBC Sports, Bob Mortale, Fox News.
Wimbledon started 2 hours ago, the third tennis Grand Slam of the year. The third-seeded woman has dropped out. Aryna Sabalenka has a shoulder injury. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Good morning. WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM News Time, 8:05. I'm Andrew Dominio. This update brought to you by the new destination Kia of Utica on Commercial Drive in Yorkville. We're at 60 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Your full weather forecast is coming up. A candlelight vigil was held Saturday in Utica to remember a 13-year-old boy fatally shot by police. Police say officers conducted a stop of 2 juveniles Friday night along the 900 block of Shaw Street relative to an investigation. According to the investigation, Naim Way pointed what appeared to be a handgun at officers, and that's when one of the Utica police officers fired his gun, striking the teen. Way died of his injuries at an area hospital. During the vigil on Shaw Street, several of those in attendance became emotional and shouted, "No justice, no peace." Meanwhile, police have released body cam footage from the incident, and the 3 officers involved have been placed on paid administrative leave pending an investigation by the Attorney General's office and an internal investigation. You can see all of the body cam footage on our website, WIBX950.com. State police have announced an investigation into a personal injury accident that happened Saturday on Doolittle Road in the town of Paris. The investigation determined a 2004 Ford Explorer traveling north on Doolittle moved from its lane and struck an embankment off the east shoulder, causing the vehicle to overturn. The driver and passenger, both 17 years of age, were injured. One was transported by ambulance to Wynn Hospital. That was the driver. The passenger of the vehicle was ejected from the vehicle and is last known to be in critical condition. He was airlifted to Upstate Hospital in Syracuse. The investigation is ongoing. A suspect is in custody after a stabbing outside of a donut shop in Chittenango. Police say this stemmed from a road rage incident between the 2 men along I-5 on Saturday. The 2 men ended up in the parking lot of a Dunkin' off of the interstate. That's when police say one of the men stabbed the other. The 25-year-old suspect was later arrested in Onondaga County. There's no word on the victim's condition. An investigation is underway after a man was found dead over the weekend in Syracuse. Police say the victim was discovered along the 100 block of Truth Terrace. The victim's name has not been released. At this point, police say there is nothing to indicate foul play. And it looks like a summer wave of COVID is here. Earlier this week, the CDC estimated that COVID-19 infections are growing or likely growing in 44 states and territories. With people gathering inside to avoid the heat and traveling for the 4th of July, cases are expected to go up. But experts are anticipating that the summer wave will stay mild. It is 8:08. Your weather forecast is brought to you by Wheelock Disposal. Local, reliable, affordable trash service. Your weather forecast for today looking pretty good. We'll see an increase in sunshine with temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. It'll be clear overnight with a low dropping into the lower 50s. Tomorrow we'll see an increase in clouds with temperatures in the lower 80s. Right now we're at 60 degrees under cloudy skies. It's 8:08. Sports brought to you by IBEW NECA 43 local contractors. Well, it was a rough road for the Yankees, on again, off again, as they split the series with the Blue Jays. The final game of the series ended last night, or actually yesterday afternoon, as they beat the Blue Jays by a score of 8-1 at Rogers Center. Garrett Cole earned his first victory of the season. After striking out 6 batters and allowing 1 run over 5 innings pitched, Aaron Judge went 2 for 4 and hit his major league leading 31st home run of the season. New York is now tied with Baltimore for first in the AL East at 54 and 32. They'll host the Cincinnati Reds for a 3-game set that begins tomorrow night at Yankee Stadium. Meanwhile, the Mets were unable to complete the comeback after falling to the Houston Astros 10-5 in 11 innings at Citi Field. Matt Festa was charged with the loss after allowing 5 runs, 4 of them earned on 4 hits over an inning of relief. Brandon Nimmo led the way at the plate after going 3 for 4 with a 2-run homer and 3 RBIs. New York dropped 2 of 3 to Houston and is now third in the NL East at 40 and 41. The Mets will visit the Nationals for a 4-game series that begins tonight in D.C. Some big moves in the NBA, as it was reported early this morning that Paul George has reached a landmark marquee deal with the 76ers. It looks like he signed a 4-year, $212 million deal with Philadelphia to play there. Some big moves in the offseason include Chris Paul from the Warriors being released at the start of free agency. The Clippers will be bringing back one of their key playmakers next season. ESPN reports Los Angeles is signing star guard James Harden to a 2-year, $70 million contract to remain with the team. The Orlando Magic are adding an NBA champion to the roster. ESPN reports that Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is going to sign with the Magic. The contract is for 3 years and $66 million. So already some big moves in the NBA. Of course, the Rocket Mortgage Classic, the 2024 Rocket Mortgage Classic happened in Detroit at the Detroit Golf Club over the weekend. Cam Davis celebrates his first victory of the season after winning that. Joey Logano took home the victory in the Alley 400 at Nashville Speedway. And the top tennis players in the world are meeting on the grass courts at Wimbledon. That tournament is underway. The 2024 Summer Olympics are quickly closing in. Simone Biles will become the oldest female gymnast to represent the U.S. at the Olympic Games since the 1950s after she qualified for her 3rd Olympic team. We want to go right now, as he is very busy this morning, we want to go right now to Dan Snell, who is an expert on politics and leadership. He's held elected office 5 times and is a fan of leadership styles of Reagan and JFK. And we always enjoy his very impartial take on the world of politics. Dan, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Hold on. I got to turn your mic on, Dan. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Andrew. Happy Monday to you and all your listeners there in Utica. It's an interesting big day today, from the Supreme Court to our conversation here about men and women.
Yes, so we will get to the we're going to get to the Supreme Court and the topic at hand. But first, I want to just get your brief take on or your synopsis, your recap of what occurred on Thursday night
with the congressional hearing with your fellow New York, Maya Wiley and Nancy Mace. That was quite the interaction. Oh, you're talking about Thursday night debate.
Yes, sorry about that. I want to talk. We'll get to the topic at hand in just a minute, but I know that we spoke to you ahead of the presidential debate, or the presidential debacle, as people are calling it. What was your brief take about the presidential debate that happened Thursday night?
Yeah, for all of America, from New York to Kansas, where I'm at, to whatever state you're in, it was a sad night for America. You hate to see that's the best of our voices when both men didn't shine bright, but in particularly the President of the United States stumbled, and I think it is evident, and I try to be fair and kind to everyone, but it is evident it's time for him to pass the torch to a new generation, and I hope that happens.
Now, one of the things I saw over the weekend was that in a number of key swing states, it seems very unlikely, in fact, impossible for Biden to come off the ticket at this point so far along. I know in states like Georgia and others, there are some rules with regards to that. Do you honestly feel that Joe Biden will be the candidate? Do you think they'll be able to pull off finding somebody else? And if so, who would that be?
Yeah, for him, for a replacement to take place, he has to make an announcement. He has to step aside. And yeah, there are some states that have some governing bylaws that say, it's difficult to put a person on. But realistically, how bad would those states look to America if they denied whoever was put in place to be the replacement for President Biden? I mean, I think they'll find a way, even if it takes a special state house hearing by a particular state legislature to make sure that happens. But I think for the good of the country, I was looking at what's good for the place we call home. And for the good of the country, President Biden, and for that matter, for his legacy, he should step aside, have a fireside chat. This is what I did that I hope helped America. It's time to pass on to a younger generation. Then it puts the spotlight on President Trump's age and President Trump's behavior, and perhaps re-energizes with a younger candidate the Democratic Party.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting, and it was kind of fascinating to see how quickly some of the outlets that are typically favorable and show kind of side with or are sympathetic to Joe Biden, how quickly they turned after Thursday night. It was very interesting to see.
Yeah, and you have newspapers in New York and Georgia itself calling for him to step aside. And I remember, I'm sure you were probably watching it, but I remember 12 minutes into the debate, I looked up at my clock. I'm Central Time. Of course, it was real time, 9:12 p.m. At the debate, and 8:12. I looked at the clock and I go, my gosh, that's the 12-minute moment where he just froze.
Yeah.
And at that point, I thought, oh my gosh, President Biden, I feel sorry for him. However, it's time. This is a defining moment in presidential election.
Indeed. Senator Griffo, do you want to add anything to this? Senator Joe Griffo of the great state of New York in our district is here with us, Dan, as a co-host this morning. Guest co-host as Bill is off. Any thoughts on what Dan is talking about? Well, good morning, Dan. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I got to get your mic on. There you go.
Well, good morning, Dan. I think that the point I would try to emphasize right now is it's not what should Biden do, but what will Biden do? And I don't think there's really, from his perspective and maybe his family's perspective, a willingness to let go at this point in time, despite what may be happening from the Democratic Party. And I think they face a dilemma and a challenge, too, because who do they replace the individual with right now? The obvious would be the vice president, but I think that there's great resistance to that notion, and I think there's concern about her viability and electability. So it becomes pretty interesting in those circles at this point in time.
Yeah, excellent point, Senator. Always good to have. I spent 5 years in elective office, so I'm always good to get that insight. Yeah, I think, what's interesting is if I were advising them, there's some potential choices there of Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer, neither of which polled well or I think would be candidates that the American people, there's some talk about Michelle Obama. That might be an interesting, she slept with the president of the United States for 8 years, so she certainly, I'm sure, had conversations and has been around that. However, the one that I think would be really kind of an underdog that I think is an up-and-comer is the governor of the state of Kentucky, Andy Beshear. And if you follow him, he's young, he's dynamic, he's done great things with the economy, he's well-spoken, he's got a great family wife, he's even got a dog named Winnie that he puts on social media. He's likable, he's likable, he's electable, and he's believable. And I think it would be the type of thing that would truly then focus on maybe this is better future. President Trump has great policies, but sometimes he gets himself in trouble with his behavior.
Yeah.
And so I think he'd have to address that and change a little bit, pivot, so to speak, because I think Andrew Beshear would be that kind that the governor's dad was a governor, so he's been around politics a long time, so he knows the oops and the gotchas and the things. And
being the only way you get that though is if you have a brokered convention, right? If you can open the convention up now, and I think there's still going to be resistance from some of the other people who would want it. I think they're in a situation where it's going to be very difficult to replace him right now, and I think this is kind of an interesting when you talk about. There's a lot of pundits right now analyzing this, and there's a lot of editorial boards that are urging him to withdraw. But I just don't know that he's there, and I just think they're in a quagmire right now, is trying to figure out how they get out of this. They kind of waited too long.
Yeah, the next few weeks are going to be interesting. We're talking with Dan Snell, who's an expert on politics and leadership. And I know we're running out of time with you, and you were on not to talk about this, but the topic, please just kind of sum it up for us. Representative Nancy Mace is ripping civil rights activists for defining women as a person who says she is. What's this story about?
Well, I would rather talk about our other topics than this, because this is one that, I grew up in a small town in Nebraska. And so from Nebraska to New York, I think no one really fully understands. I could say with a smile, and I want you to, I'm going to identify myself as a golden retriever, because I hope that I just like everybody and wag my tail when I see everybody. But this whole concept of what was being discussed, obviously, Nancy Mace is very passionate. She's got some personal background and some things that have happened to her. But I think the country, it's shocking to me. I'm 68 years old. I like to say 68's a new 48, but it's shocking to me how quickly we have changed our values. And while I may not agree with Maya Wiley, and I admire Nancy Mace for discussing that, a man is a man and a woman's a woman, it's everyone in this country. The great thing is we all have rights, and so I think it's a fair conversation. But I thought the big smile was when Nancy Mace said, "I don't want somebody into my daughter's locker room bringing Big Jim and the two little twins." I thought that'll be a soundbite.
Oh God,
that'll be a soundbite that will echo in the airwaves for a while. But it's America's going through a change. Senator, you said a good word there about the election quagmire, and it seems like from a leadership standpoint, we don't have a president or elected officials that are out there really leading and people are looking up to. So I want to be like that leader, and so
need to bring back Tom Osborne, right?
Hey, there we go. Hey, thank you for that. Yeah, Tom Osborne continues to be the person admired and respected, and that's what we need in Washington.
All right. Well, Dan Snell, we always appreciate your time. You're one of the favorites here on First News with Keeler in the Morning. I know you have to get to your next hit. You're a busy man. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Great to be with you and the Senator, and God bless New York.
Thank you so much. Have a great week. And Dan Snell, he's a wealth of information. Interesting. And this is why we like talking to Dan, because he, in an age where everybody has their biases and, they stick to their sides and their tribes. I mean, just to give you perspective, Dan is a fan of the leadership styles of Reagan and JFK.
Yeah, I agree. I actually like both of those presidents too.
Yeah, and JFK's Democrat Party a little different than the Democrat Party of today.
He used the torch is passed, and that was a great line from the JFK inaugural address. But then you look at, like when I mentioned Tom Osborne, I mean, think about something like that. He's well-respected, former head coach in Nebraska, got into politics, but he's just a honorable, decent man. Obviously take position on issues, and people can agree or disagree with that. But the caliber of the individual that you're attracting, somebody like that, as he indicated, has a lot of respect. And even if you disagree with him, you can say he's a man of integrity and character, and we need to bring that back.
It's interesting that Dan brought up the possibility of Andy Beshear, Democrat governor of the state of Kentucky, being a possible candidate to replace Joe Biden. He's in a state that has a senator in Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul,
right,
two Republicans. So it's very possible that Governor Beshear has some centrist ideas, which I think a lot of people in the country would like a more centrist candidate. So definitely an interesting name to be thrown out. But I think to your point, it is very, very unlikely that President Biden would go willingly. In fact, doubling down right after the debate performance at his rally in North Carolina, saying, "I'm not," is to quote the great Toby Keith, "I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was."
It's quite a dilemma they have right now, and I think that's that's what's going on that nobody knows about, because you have many of the liberal press, like the Times, saying he's got to go.
Yeah,
and
a lot of people.
I think this just kind of makes him dig in more, and it's just going to be interesting over the next couple of weeks before they hit the convention. It's no different than when somebody's pushing somebody to resign. You know, when you have like back in the Watergate era, but you had more specific things there, right?
Yeah.
That you could say there's reasons here, and there was a lot of the tapes, things of that nature back then that put a president in a position where he left office. In this particular instance, you're talking about cognitive and legitimate things, but cognitive issues and age-related issues. It becomes where you have an individual that's there that's saying, I'm not going anywhere, like you said.
And it's almost like to have to take off a week of your presidential duties, essentially, to prepare for a debate is also a little bit disturbing. But we haven't taken a break yet this hour, and we're coming up on 8:25. First news with Keeler in the morning continues. Andrew Dominio in for Bill, and Senator Joe Griffo in for me here, doing a wonderful job on limited sleep as my guest co-host. You're doing a wonderful job. Thank you so much. Coming up this hour, we will speak with Lieutenant Mike Curley of the Utica Police Department, along with Chief Mark Williams. They'll be in studio coming up this hour on First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/free. Ramp.com/free. RAMP.com/free.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Don't let the weather get you down. Shulman and Rosansky Family Dentistry reminds you that there is something to smile about. Spring is here, and summer is just around the corner.
I'm Dr. Andrew Rosansky, letting you know it's time to get that smile into perfect shape with the spring cleaning or veneers. You'll be smiling well into summer and beyond.
Get the smile that gets smiles at Shulman and Rosansky Family Dentistry, 1 Paris Road, New Hartford, and online at uticasmiles.com.
Hi, I'm Cesar Milan. People are always commenting on how healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend is a premium freeze-dried raw dog food designed to support your dog's health, happiness, and lifespan. Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of cod Krispies. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511.
Your order is back with a 90-day guarantee.
All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-386-9945. 800-386-9945. 800-386-9945. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
My name is Mark Fry. I'm the Director of Thoracic Surgery here at Mohawk Valley Health System. I'm a board-certified thoracic surgeon specializing in robotic thoracic surgery. Thoracic surgery encompasses most of the issues that occur in the chest, things like lung cancer, esophageal cancer, We've implemented a multidisciplinary approach to thoracic oncology, which has never been available here in the Mohawk Valley. Patients really benefit from treatment in a multidisciplinary team with a number of specialties all coming together to provide the cutting-edge, high-quality care that the patients of Mohawk Valley deserve. The lung cancer screening program here at MVHS identifies people who may be at high risk for lung cancer. It really drastically improves their outcomes and survival when we can identify these potential lung cancers early on before patients even have symptoms. Our thoracic program here at Mohawk Valley Health Systems really prides ourselves on high quality, cutting edge, state-of-the-art care.
For more information, visit mvhealthsystem.org.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/radio. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at HIMS, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/radio and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. hims.com/radio.
WIBX. This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
First news, Keeler in the morning, WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM. We have Senator Joe Griffo as my trusty co-host this morning, as Bill is taking some much-needed time to get himself better and taken care of. Of course, obviously announcing in the last couple weeks his unfortunate cancer diagnosis. But Bill is strong. He's beat it once, and he will get through it again. So we do appreciate everything that he does for the community and for me and for us. And so he is missed today. I'm really missing him today with such a terrible event that happened over the weekend, but we're getting through it, and I know he's getting through it as well. So, Senator Griffo, thanks for taking the time this morning to fill in.
Pleasure to be with you, Andrew, and you're doing a great job, and I know he'd be proud of you, and I know Bill is going to do great. He has a lot of people thinking about him and praying for him, so hang in there, Bill, and he's in good hands.
Well, thoughts and prayers were abounding over the weekend for several parties involved with the incident that happened on the 900 block of Shaw Street on Friday night when officers stopped two individuals as part of an investigation and unfortunately led to the death of a 13-year-old. And in studio right now, we're very grateful and appreciative to have in studio Chief Mark Williams of the Utica Police Department and Lieutenant Mike Curley, who is the Public Information Officer. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning, taking time out of your sleep schedule, which I'm sure has been lacking, and you've been very busy, so we appreciate you taking the time this morning.
Good morning.
Just to recap for those from your official side of what you can share, bring us up to speed, or maybe anybody that has not heard about what happened or is kind of in the dark so far of what has gone on, what transpired on Friday night.
From my perspective, about quarter after 10, I received a phone call from my deputy chief informed me that we had an officer-involved shooting on the 900 block of Shaw Street. One of our officers discharged his weapon, and during the course of discharging his weapon, one individual was dead. We later learned the identity of the person to be an Asian male, 13 years of age, and from that point on, we immediately went into investigating the matter. Per state law, we're required to notify the State Attorney General's office, who had the responsibility for the criminal investigation. And also there's a concurrent investigation that goes on with the Utica Police Department because we have to do an internal investigation to make sure the officers acted within policy.
Now, one of the big factors at play here is the age of this young man who perished in this incident, 13 years old. You both have been in the department for a while, have had very long careers to this point. Have you ever seen anything like this where you, as you know, 16, 17-year-old were the ages of 2 homicide victims, the first homicide of the city in 2024. This epidemic that seems to be youth violence, usually involving weapons. What do you make of this, and how do we combat it?
We always say that gun violence is actually a community problem. It's not just, you just can't solve it by police. And the disturbing trend that we've been seeing time and time again is that our shooting victims and shooters are now becoming younger and younger. Back in January, we lost the life of a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old. And now with a 13-year-old who had an imitation pistol that looked realistic, even had the word Glock on it. Again, I think that the community, everybody has to do better in this situation. It's a disturbing trend we see time and time again, and it's not just here in the city of Utica. It's becoming a statewide issue as well.
Now, one of the things that we had Steve Hula on earlier in the program, and of course he was in the position of public information officer, has been retired for a while, and I feel like times have changed a lot since he was in the position. And Lieutenant Curley, you can speak to this. You're the second public information officer since him. What does this do for police relations with the community? I know that's always an effort for you and Chief Williams. What does this do for that as a whole?
Yeah, I think one of the major proponents of community relations is Chief Williams. There's no one better that has trained our officers, put the onus on our officers, and put the training and experience on our officers to be out there in the community, making inroads in every refugee community, specifically this, and certainly any Native population as well. So this doesn't help, as much as we can simply say we're going to do our best. We understand that they are angry, they're grieving, they're angst-filled right now, so probably the best time is not for the Utica Police Department at this moment to try to speak to that particular community. We're certainly allowing our city officials to do that and make the best inroads, but we are always open and available for any kind of communication that they wish from us.
And, that's something that you've consistently talked about on this program and in other efforts throughout the city, really, as part of your recruitment. You have members of the refugee community that are police officers on your force that are in and day out trying to always continually do a good job to help the community relation. And obviously this is harmful. What do you say, Chief, to people who say this comes down to training? We always hear about this. There has to be better training. How do we continue to learn from this situation and get better? What are your thoughts to people who speak about training?
I think Lieutenant Curley said it best. We invest a lot in training for our officers. We hear that time and time again. But when the people are saying that, they're just assuming that these officers are untrained based on their own personal opinions or maybe things they see in a video. The reality is there's a lot of investment in training. We send our officers all over the country for some of the best training. And in addition to that, we also have our regular in-service training with our officers on latest law changes, latest best practices and policies regarding all forms of policing. So, again, there's a huge investment in training.
So, Lieutenant Mike Curley, a public information officer in the studio, also Chief Mark Williams. As far as, again, this is very early in the investigation. Talk about what happens from here. I know the Attorney General's office did release a statement over the weekend that they've taken on this investigation and that has begun. Also, you have your own internal investigation. What happens from here, essentially?
So as I said before, there's a dual investigation going on. The state attorney generals will handle the criminal portion of this investigation. We will handle the internal. We also will work very closely and in full cooperation with the state attorney general's office. The one thing about these type of investigations on the criminal end, they do not tend to be resolved very quickly. Most reports that I've seen from the AG's office, that when they do release their findings on it, they take 9 months to a year before they'll come out with their findings. So, and I know people want, are demanding justice and demanding answers right away. But like with any, possible criminal investigation, you have to review and get all the facts before any type of judgment is made in this type of case. Again, we're very aware of the fact that there's a lot of anger out there. And especially there's a lot of hurt right now in the Karen community. Right now, they're not interested in facts. All they see is a 13-year-old that is dead.
Yeah.
We understand that. And we certainly, we are ourselves hurting over that as well. It's an unfortunate incident. But again, I mean, there will be justice. There will be an independent investigation that's not done by the police department when it comes to the criminal investigation.
Joe?
That's a good point you just raised, Chief. There's a wide range of emotions being felt throughout the community. Obviously, a family that's heartbroken, a community that's in shock, but it also has an impact on your officers. So maybe you can explain, that these are human beings too.
Yeah, I mean, they still have a job to do. They can't, say we're just not going to police the community anymore because this has happened. They're still out there and having to do the job.
I've been in this job 36 years as a police officer, 14 as the chief of police. I've seen officers that have been involved in officer-involved shootings before, and the community does not know the toll of being involved in one of these instances. We had one officer actually take his own life as a result of having used deadly physical force in the course of during the course of his duties. We've had several others that have never been able to come back to work because mentally it's been a hard time to deal with something like this. So for anybody that thinks that, the officers, don't think twice about having to use deadly physical force, it's a misnomer. The reality is that you have to deal with this mentally, for the rest of your life, and it takes a toll on you.
Yeah, well, it's a very difficult situation, and our heart goes out to you and your officers and to the family of the young individual, and we really appreciate you taking the time this morning. Senator, do you have anything else that you?
No, I mean, I think you've been very transparent, very direct. You've been engaged. What happens next? I mean, are you going to continue to do these type of briefings and present more information? Because I know there's a very significant interest in trying to ensure that you are communicating with the public. And
to add on to that, I mean, already very timely getting the body cam footage out. People say it was hard to download it. You created the YouTube channel now. You can see that there at Utica PD. You can go to our website, WIBX950.com, to see that body cam footage. A lot of people also talking about, and sorry, Senator, I'll have them answer your question as well, but bringing up the issue of why would you release the names, people having a problem with the officers involved, their names being released. Is that law that you have to do that?
It's about transparency. They're going to know the names eventually anyway. And part of releasing the body-worn camera footage, there's no secrets who the officers are to most people. But getting back to the senator's question, anytime there's a new refugee group that comes into our community, and part of the assimilation means that we work with our refugee center. Mm-hmm. And we have. And the relationships with the Karen community before this have been generally good, and according to their own leaders. Unfortunately, you have an incident like this, it's a setback. It brings you back to point zero. In the future, we have to try to make inroads to build that gain that trust and respect with that community. It's not going to be easy based on this incident. Again, they see a 13-year-old boy that is dead, and we all feel the pain. Not only that community, the community overall, but also the police.
Yeah.
And again, I can't express my condolences enough to the family that lost that 13-year-old. It's tragic for all parties involved.
Well, I think we all agree with that, and it's never a good day when you have to deal with something like this, but you do it very well. And I think our community is better to have you at the helm, and to have Lieutenant Curley by your side, who, on top of all of his other duties within the department, people don't always understand that Lieutenant Curley is not just dealing with the public, but is a lieutenant in the police department in your ranks and dealing with officers daily and investigations. I really appreciate you and taking the time this morning.
Well, again, I'm surrounded by a great team, and this individual next to me, Lieutenant Curley, is probably one of the most dedicated police officers I have in my department. Does a phenomenal job representing us.
And for anybody that has questions or inquiries, I'm sure they can reach out to the department. How's best? Do you prefer people get their questions answered? And
yeah, I mean, we got to be very careful when it comes to the criminal investigation because it's not our. We don't have jurisdiction over that.
Yeah.
Before we release any information regarding the criminal portion of it, I want to make sure it's done with the approval and in conjunction with the State Attorney General's office. But to ensure that this is an impartial investigation, I just can't put out information that, again, that they may not be comfortable with. So,
well, we appreciate that, certainly. Senator Griffo, do you have anything else?
No.
Well, we really appreciate you both taking the time. Good luck in the coming days. And, we always, again, I've sounded like a broken record now, but appreciate you coming in this morning and taking the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Okay. First News with Keeler in the morning next. Continues on WIBX.
Always dreamed of a Tempur-Pedic mattress? Right now, save up to $500 on select sets at Mattress Express for our 4th of July sale. Put no money down and get up to 60 months to pay for qualified customers. Go to mattressexpressny.com for locations.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
I plan to rearrange my closet, but I stopped after picking the clothes up off the floor.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's award-winning language learning app will help you start speaking another language. Start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
Comment tu t'appelles?
Comment tu t'appelles?
Vous êtes où?
Vous êtes où?
Babbel's bite-sized lessons make it easy to learn words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks,
"How's your French going?"
you can say,
Babbel est amusant et facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue. Et cela ne prend que 15 minutes par jour.
When you want to really learn another language, it starts with Babbel. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Do you have over $10,000 in credit card debt? If you're feeling the financial impact with unprecedented economic challenges, DebtBlue is here for you. With DebtBlue's Success Guarantee, you pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved.
I'm just living sky high right now. So I'm very thankful for it. And the team at DebtBlue are phenomenal. They're able to work with you. They're great.
Call for your free debt resolution information now. 800-200-6895. 800-200-6895.
The Potting Shed Antiques in Whitesboro is buying silver, gold-filled, vintage costume, estate jewelry, and U.S. and Canadian coins. They've been your hometown buyer for the past 52 years. While other gold and silver buyers claim to offer the highest prices, the Potting Shed Antiques actually delivers. Let Don Hartman take a look at your individual pieces or your entire collection. The Potting Shed Antiques, open Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Please call ahead for an appointment. Visit thepottingshedsantique.com.
Congress is poised to pass a bill to keep AM radio in cars, but time is running out. 82 million Americans risk losing the news, sports, talk, traffic, and vital emergency information they rely on. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress to pass this bill now.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to STOP.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Are you sick of being just a number or doing a mindless job? Become a craftsman in a trade. Become an IBEW electrician. The IBEW and the Electrician Training Alliance will give you all the tools necessary at their state-of-the-art training facility. Earn as you learn. Paid training while you get your certification. What are you waiting for? Become an IBEW Local 43 electrician. Call or go online today to learn more. Find your career at IBEW and let the Electrician Training Alliance light up your future.
Hi, I'm Cesar Milan. People are always commenting on how healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend is a premium freeze-dried raw dog food designed to support your dog's health, happiness, and lifespan. Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of cod Crispies. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511.
Your order is back with a 90-day guarantee.
All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
WIBX. This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
First News Keeler in the morning, WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM. I just want to read a few comments here. I'm not going to respond much to the comments myself. I'm just going to read them and let them lie because I don't want to be in a position to be commenting too much about this situation, as you know, I maintain, and I think everybody should, that this is a very fresh situation. It is one that warrants time, care, and I think in this case, time needs to pass for all the facts to come out, for the investigations to happen before conclusions are drawn. So I just want to read these comments, and that is all that I will do. This is John from Bridgewater. Andrew, one more thing. The interpreter couldn't get control of the crowd. No answers for them during the press conference. That's John in Bridgewater. Aaron G., why does everyone always go back to police officers needing more or better training? I think both Steve Houck and Chief Williams responded to that. Here's another topic, just not anything to do with this one. John in Deerfield saying, are you guys still looking at the WIN and the cardiac unit? I've heard unprompted from two separate persons, one nurse at the hospital and one cardiac patient, that the cardiac unit was shut down because, well, I won't get into the rumors of the situation because we don't know the full extent, but there was a situation in the cardiac unit that led to some of the issues they're dealing with. I know that they are making progress there. Hopefully maybe tomorrow or at some point next week, as we're off Wednesday through Friday, we'll get an answer to what the status is with the WIN Hospital and their cardiac program. Senator Griffo, that's an issue that hopefully will be resolved. Whenever you open a new facility, you're going to have some issues there.
Well, I think your best answers come from the administration there, and I think they would be candid and direct.
As they have been previously.
To report on their situation and status, and the State Department of Health, when people are asking, like, who's monitoring, the Health Department, obviously, the State Department of Health monitors those type of situations, and I know they have been involved. And so I think, whoever you speak to now, whether it's Darlene as the CEO or their chief medical,
Dr. Tallarico, who's new in that position and so has been as part of the system for a long time.
Right, they'll be able to communicate status and updates. And relative to the situation here, again, as we go off the air, I think these are events that alter the community in so many different ways. And then we talked about it. There's so much heartbreak from everyone when you lose a young life, and especially the family who's grieving right now. And the condolences that are sent are genuine and sincere. And there's impact and effect on those in law enforcement too, who, as you indicated, have to continue to do their job.
Yeah.
But I'm hopeful that as a community, we'll understand and appreciate all of that, and that we will be there for one another, as opposed to trying to have anybody to instigate or to castigate at this point in time, but to find a way to come together, to support one another, to support the family who's grieving, to understand and appreciate the individuals who are on the front line. And I think that's the essence of our community.
Yeah.
And you'll have that transparency. You'll have those updates. And as you saw here with the presence of the chief and the lieutenant, what the mayor is doing. And I'm hopeful that from a community perspective, whatever is ascertained and determined ultimately, this is how we can be there to support one another as opposed to tearing one another down, as tragic as the situation and circumstance is.
I agree entirely. And we can only move forward from here. And again, let the investigations play out. We do appreciate all of our guests this morning, including Lieutenant Steve Houck, formerly of the UPD, a former public information officer, giving his take, breaking down some of the body cam footage and giving his thoughts on that. Antoine Spratt, who is an independent journalist, who you can follow him on social media. He's at the scene of many events, fires, crime scene investigations, and press conferences in the area, who was a big part of helping us cover this event over the weekend. Also, Dan Snell, we had an interesting conversation with him. And, of course, as always, we thank Chief Mark Williams and Lieutenant Mike Curley for coming on and giving us an update as far as what we know at this time. So I just want to leave you with a few stories that are unrelated to the topic of the day. We have here a situation. Everybody's talking about shark attacks. I feel like every year there is an instance where they're almost, bringing up shark attacks like they're happening regularly. But a couple was out lobster fishing off the coast of Massachusetts when they encountered what they thought was a whale, but they were wrong. Instead, they saw what they encountered. Oh, okay. I got muted. I gotta shut down this YouTube here. There we go. Let's see if I can do this again here. I give Bill a lot of credit for doing this. This is a couple who thought it was a whale, but instead was a massive shark.
Oh, God. Wow. That is a shark. No, it's a whale. It's a shark. That is a whale. Oh, my God. That is a freaking shark. That's a great white shark. That is a shark like I've never seen. Yeah, there's two. That's a 20-foot great white shark coming at us.
20-foot shark. I mean, the fins are a little different, one, but they're not too different.
It's been a shark that's been working out or something.
Yeah, well, there's one thing for sure. If I see any fin in the water, I am going the other way. I do love the ocean, but you got to be careful. And I'll leave you with one more. This is really a pathetic story. A Florida man is accused of stealing a bag with $40 inside from a 12-year-old boy who was selling snacks to raise money. Here's the victim, Noel Prince, talking about the man who allegedly stole the money.
And it just goes, yoink. I look up and I just start running. I think he just needed the money real bad, but that's not how you earn money.
Yeah, stealing a kid's snack money, Nobody's safe anymore. God, with the plight of stealing and things like that. Well, we're almost out of time. It's always tough to fill Bill's shoes, but I do appreciate you taking the time this morning to fill in. Anything else you want to leave the people with this morning?
Good to be with you, Andrew, and you did a great job. And again, our best wishes to Bill and his family, and he'll do okay. And just be safe out there. And 4th of July coming up Thursday. I'm not sure what the forecast is right now.
I think most of the week is looking pretty good. I mean, if we go to the National Weather Service, I'm no Richard or Mike Johnson, but today we're expecting, maybe a few rain showers in the morning, but that's coming past. Looks like through the blinds here of the studio, sun is coming through. It will become more sunny and warm. Will be highs in the upper 70s. But to your point, Independence Day, we're looking at partly sunny skies with highs in the upper 80s.
It seems also that when you want to strive for your independence, it happens in the summer. Because,
right.
It's 4th of July 4th for us, and the Bastille Day is coming up in July 14th in France, which is their...
they're having some interesting elections there. Right. The right-wing party is starting to make some potential headway in their elections, which is causing all sorts of protests and everything like that. It's not unfamiliar to us here.
And to our Canadian neighbors, happy Canada Day today.
Oh, yeah, it is Canada Day. And also, just as a general public service announcement, everybody that's going to enjoy their festivities in the form of fireworks and the works, do be mindful that luckily my dog doesn't have any issues with thunder or fireworks, but my mom's dogs 100% are petrified. And that's the case. One of the biggest complaints for people, especially in the city of Utica this time of year, is the fireworks at all hours of the night.
And safety, too. Exercise safety, because a lot of people now are setting off fireworks, and just be careful.
You got to watch out for those fingers and toes. Who was the NFL star? That Jason Pierre-Paul,
yes,
who was doing the fireworks, and they got the better of him. But he's still able to have a good career in the NFL. So Yankees off tonight. Thank God. They need a little bit of a reset. But they'll be welcoming the Cincinnati Reds tomorrow. The Mets start their series with the Nationals, as that starts tonight. So that'll be an interesting series as well. We'll keep up on all of that. Senator Joe Griffo,
Go Yanks.
Thank you so much. I agree. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning to guest host, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Again, that forecast, partly sunny today with highs in the upper 70s, and then overnight clear skies with a low in the low 50s. We'll see an increase in clouds tomorrow with a high in the low 80s, but right now we're over the 60-degree mark under sunny skies. First News Keeler in the morning.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
I plan to rearrange my closet, but I stopped after picking the clothes up off the floor.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's award-winning language learning app will help you start speaking another language. Start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
Comment tu t'appelles?
Comment tu t'appelles?
Vous êtes où?
Vous êtes où?
Babbel's bite-sized lessons make it easy to learn words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks,
"How's your French going?"
you can say,
Babbel est amusant et facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue. Et cela ne prend que 15 minutes par jour.
When you want to really learn another language, it starts with Babbel. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at babbel.com. Just go to babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
Adirondack Home Furniture knows that when it comes to outdoor furniture, you want something that's comfortable, durable, and stylish. That's why Polywood is the perfect choice. Polywood